All right, we are live tonight, and we got a stacked panel, and I think a few more people coming on the way. First things first, I want to give a big shout out to Puppo Dash, who really he's been a big supporter in the community, and he asked me if I'd do something in loving memory of his mother, who passed 5/28, 2016 of cancer. So we're doing this stream in loving memory of the late Smite Nupur Das. I think I said it right there. I made sure I practiced it a bunch of times, but this is all dedicated to everybody who's battled or fought cancer or knows somebody with cancer, and we're doing it in honor of Nupur Das. So thank you guys for being here. So tonight we're going to introduce everybody. We have Steve Merlo. We're going to put him on solo. Tell everybody who you are.
I am Steve Merlo. I'm the writer-director of the Sawyer Massacre, which is an unofficial prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Awesome. All right, let's see. Next person here. I'm getting it. We'll go next over here to Mr. Vecchio.
What's up, everybody? I'm CJ Vecchio, writer, director of the upcoming Texas. Well, it's actually the Evil 3. So it's 3 fan films in one. So we have Leatherface, Jason, and Michael all duke it out, and we're actually have our Indiegogo campaign going on right now. So we're already like 10 days, 20 days in already. So Indiegogo, the Evil 3.
And we're going to go to Anthony Greco.
Hey guys, Anthony Greco, promoter for Fantasm Orlando, a haunt and horror convention in Orlando, Florida.
August 19th to the 21st. If you're in the area, we're going to be there rocking out that place.
Hope you all come.
Oh, you, Mike. Oh, shit.
Well, thank you, John. I am Mike from Camp Crystal Cabin 6. I am a hawk maker supporting and indulging all your custom and screen-accurate hawks.
You got yourself a little echo there. I think you got to...
I do?
Yeah.
I think I got it under control.
The one, the only, the big swag, the Lost Leatherface, Brett Wagner.
Why I gave myself that moniker, I have no idea. My name is Brett Wagner, otherwise known as the Big Schwag. I am an actor for some 30-odd years. I am the voice of the TV show Monster Garage. I hosted a drag racing show called Pastime on Speed Channel for 7 years. And I was lucky enough to be in the 2003 remake, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I got to do the first kill in the movie with the sledgehammer and slamming the door shut like Gunnar Hansen did so many years ago. And I'm just glad to be out here and still alive and hanging with you guys.
Awesome to have you back on again, Brett. And tonight we're going to be discussing Texas Chainsaw Massacre in honor of Nupur Das and all the people who have dealt with somebody or know somebody who's had cancer or had it themselves. I know CJ's dealt with it. So I say we start off with the original, the classic, what made it all happen. 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. My thoughts, you know what? Let's go to Brett Wagner since he is the Lost Leatherface. We're going to go to you. What was, tell us your initial thoughts on Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, the original, it's what it is. It's something that was so fresh. It was, in 74, I was like 8 years old, so I didn't get to see it then. I saw it later on in my life, in my, my teens and whatnot, but it was so good. It was so fresh. It was so new. I can just imagine the people watching this in 1974. And I know you and CJ were talking about saying, really, it's the first original slasher film, really. 1974, this thing comes out. I'd seen some horror movies before. You had your, you had your Universal horror, you had your Hammer movies, you had your vampires, you had your Christopher Lees, but all of a sudden there's some maniac, some big 300-pounder running around with a chainsaw, putting people on hooks. I just got to admit, for me, it was a tremendous, it's, my top 10 horror films of all time. It's still when you look back at it, you made people go, oh, there's stuff that's come out that's so much, I want to say, grosser or more violent now. But when you watch it, and I can just imagine and watching back there was nothing like it at the time. I mean, there was no way that there was anything that close to that. And it must have just scared the bejesus out of folks. And I still think it holds up to this day. It's still a great flick. And it's, we wouldn't be here talking about these other movies and these other actors that have had their breaks because of that movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original.
Yeah. Well, it was banned. When it first came out, it caused such a stir. They banned it in a couple of countries.
Really? I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about that movie for me was just the whole the family orientation. It was like no matter where you would think, oh, here's another family member. Well, they're just as sick. I mean, the classic table scene where Leatherface leans into the camera and they're just. I mean, that's some freaky shit. So well done. That is absolutely. I think you're right. That started everything. There's only been a few, the old time black and whites. You got awesome shit there, and obviously all those classics. But that was like a turning point. Do you know what I mean? It was almost like a turning point. Like, wow, look at this shock horror. Like, this is different. So absolutely.
Yeah, you had, I think before that you just had Exorcist, which already had caused an uproar in its own right and everything like that, and then when Texas Chainsaw came out, they pumped up the whole, this is a true story and all that. So it's like, people couldn't believe that somebody ran around with a power tool like that, and just did all that. And now obviously they took liberties with the accuracy of just how true it was. But I mean, yeah, just it freaked everybody out that someone would do that with that kind of implement, wear somebody's skin, eat people, do all that kind of stuff. It was, everyone was watching, you had some sci-fi movies and stuff like that. And you had some horror movies that were cheesier and, more fantastical. This was portrayed as, a real, deranged family, deranged person. It was believable the way they filmed it, obviously with the documentary style and all that, and just how visceral it was, the handheld camera type, movement and way they filmed it, and the cinematography. Nothing was well lit, or very, very sparsely lit. Yeah. So it just added to the terrorizing,
it had
subject matter.
That flat blandness. Do you know what I mean? As far as like the actual picture, it was that the way that they had the lighting. You're absolutely right, Anthony. It was great.
Or lack of
definitely
lighting,
adds to it. The lack of lighting actually adds to the film.
Yeah, you know what, Steve? I was just going to say, it's almost like a David Lynch film. The way that David Lynch puts it, I mean, he's a genius in my eyes, the way that he uses lighting and shadow and that old style. It's almost that type of lighting, and it really affected when you watch it. It really brings something to the film.
Well, I just watched it. I just rewatched it actually last week. And I don't know if they remastered it, but I have a 4K TV, and the quality was awesome.
Mm.
I mean, so I think it was on Tubi. It was free, but they must have remastered it because I was pretty impressed with the quality. I thought I was going to go into it I saw when it came on Blockbuster back in the day, but I was pretty impressed with the quality of it.
A funny story about Dan Yeager, who's a good friend of mine, who was the Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3D. He first saw that movie in the drive-in theater, I believe, in Vegas, in '74, or a couple years. I mean, he saw that movie at the drive-in theater, and I think that, as you say, they build it as it's a true story. So for me, when I watch, and I'm a horror movie guy, right? That's why I got into acting, because I loved horror movies so much. When it's something that can be real instead of, all right, there's vampires and zombies, love them to death, right? Dawn of the Dead, my favorite movie. But when you see something that you could go, oh my gosh, back then I had never been to, Texas or been to Kentucky or something, or been to these backwoods things. And what would happen, man, if this is real? My God, So I think that realism, and where somebody can watch and go, hey, this could really happen. It kind of, it freaks people out a little bit more.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it could be your, you know, I mean, I know it could be your neighbor. I mean, it's like a serial killer. I mean, look at Gacy, look at Dahmer. I mean, it's basically the same thing. And that's what kind of gives the extra terrorizing factor of it. And you're right. It's not a demon or it's not some monster. It's, you know, it's some crazy dude, inbred dude with a chainsaw, wearing people's skin.
Yeah, things
and the
happen in
fact
the
that
middle
you
of
actually
nowhere.
feel like these people are real too. Those
Yeah.
people just seem so real. The hitchhiker, I've met people like the hitchhiker, you know.
Yeah.
Ed Neal, I thought was probably the scariest guy. I mean, every character in there was scary. You always think Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but the cast was
scary. He was definitely scary, though. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing about Leatherface is when, you know, the moment he comes on screen, it's hard to not believe that he's not a real person out there, and you just see that gruesome looking dude, and it just he exists. You know, he really does feel like he's out there somewhere, and I think that's why it's so powerful to me.
They don't go into Leatherface either, like in terms of why does he only talk or not talk at all? Why does he always just, you know, whine and scream? And, you know, there's no explanation to why really he's like that. It's just he's strange. Everyone else talks and speaks, you know, but he's just, you know, just making noises. And that adds to
the sense of inbreeding.
The scariness of it as well.
Another thing that's really freaked me out too is when he hits him with that, you know, that short little the hammer, the killing hammer, and his legs are kicking all around and he's going into convulsions. I mean, I was freaked out when I saw that. I was like, holy hell, man! That's probably what really would happen to you, right? It's not like something where they shoot and the arm's gone or he turns into a vampire. This guy just got hit with the hammer.
Yeah.
Right. And he's flopping around and then dragged back there. And then Gunner slams that door shut. It's like, you know, it's like when you see that for the first time, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. They never really portray twitching nerves before during anyone's killed. They're shot or you're cut or whatever. And you're dead.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But this was actual.
You see the trauma.
Yeah. It made it worse. A lot worse.
Made it worse. Yep.
I just liked how the camera just stood on it for a couple seconds, just to see, you know, you're seeing that for the first time, and you just, you know, 5-6 seconds of that, you know, I'm floundering around, which is, I just intensified it immensely.
It was
like, hey, by the way, there's this too.
The sense of realism that came with that film, and considering it was how low of a budget, which most horror really is indie. The acting and the scare fact where the thing that scared me most was, Leatherface was very scary to me, but the fact where no matter where you turned, you'd run into somebody who was just as bad, and there was no safe place to go. I mean, I could see it in the situation. It's like, is this person here to kill me or not? Even when it comes to the end scene when she's getting chased by Leatherface, it's like, do you trust this person coming down the road?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a scary movie all around, and Leatherface was just the icing on the cake to me, because the whole cast of the whole Sawyer family was scary, all of them in their own way. Yeah, whether it was Grandpa, Ed Neal, you know, the father. I'm getting the old man, as they called him, Jim Saito. It was just a scary movie, especially even when she goes to the gas station, and when you first watching it for the first time, you're like, all right, cool, she's got some help here. Even though you know the dude was kind of strange, and then when it turns out, here he comes in with the potato sack, and you're not safe.
And just before that, when she's looking at what's roasting in the oven or whatever, and it's like. They're not directly telling you that these are cannibals here, but it's like, what is that in the oven? You know?
I got hungry after seeing
that. Chicken.
I was watching a great documentary on it, and that chicken in the scene at the supper smelled so bad. And since they were shooting it during the day in Texas, and they used the black shades to make it look like night in there. Yeah. The stink was so bad. I think that's what really added to the acting and everything. They really weren't acting. People were really yakking in that dinner scene because of the smell from the chicken, the smell from Gunner. because they didn't want to wash his clothes and everything. I mean, the sense of realism that went into it, even when talking about scenes when the old man was hitting the hitchhiker, just hitting him with the stick, that was real. He was really getting hit with it. They tied her down really tight. I mean, there was just the whole set was about as real for the actors and the people in that movie as it was for us as watchers. And I think that really translated so well in that film, and what really makes it a great film of all time in the horror genre.
You sure wouldn't get away with a lot of that stuff today, that's for sure.
No, and that wasn't, Joe, what you're talking about, that was a great documentary. I actually watched that a couple of weeks ago too. I think I found it on, free.
Tubi. I think Tubi or IMDb or something.
Yeah. I mean, I did went into some pretty good details and just how, behind the scenes. It was pretty interesting. I kind of enjoyed it. So it's out there.
Well, you were talking about the smell of the chicken and all that. And plus you got all the feathers blowing around and all that down and stuff. It's going to make it hard to breathe if you get that, aspirated into yourself. Yeah. And I don't know, I don't remember how they prepped all the bones and stuff. Were they bleached or whatever? But even bones have a smell. Just by themselves, even if they're clean, they just have that dry smell. They're it's hard to breathe around them. And they had so many. And then the furniture's made out of them, and they're all over the floor. And then you got chicken feathers blowing around. Yeah, it had to be disgusting to work on that,
I hate to cut you off, but the man that we're dedicating to his mother, Puppo Dash is here. Thank you, Puppo. I know you're supporting a lot of these films by Steve Merlo and also CJ Vecchio. I know he backed it last night. So thank you for all you do, and this is a real honor, tributing to your mom and everybody else who's suffered or knows somebody who suffered from cancer. And Aaron P wanted to know, Anthony, are you going to be a Fantasm this year?
Me?
Yeah, Aaron P wanted to know. Aaron, that's Anthony Greco is actually the promoter for Phantasm. It's his show.
I'll be there.
I hope he's there.
I have to be there.
I want to see him again.
I'll be there.
Absolutely. But we wanted to give you. I promised him we'd pull it up a few times to make sure everybody remembers and says a little moment of silence for anybody who suffers with cancer or lost somebody. So thank you, Puppo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Supine is here. We say hi to everybody. Aaron P, obviously. Christian Spencer. Jason Trevette is here. Rob Dowell. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. We're having a good time discussing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We got a few of them to go through, but the original I figured was going to take us a lot of time, and I think we can still talk about that quite a bit more. We were talking about that documentary. A few of you guys have already seen it. And Anthony, you were saying with the bones, even though there have been, they still stink in that heat. They deteriorate, and the smell, from what I understand, was the smell of death. So you couldn't get any more gnarly than you got in that film. I mean, there was just so much real to that film there. There's a reason it felt like a documentary, because in a sense it really was for a lot of them.
Well, you imagine years ago, right? But 74, they were, they didn't have guys that could come out there and make a whole body, right? So they're like, grab whatever bones you got. If you got a dead carcass, let's use it. Let's use the lunch that the crew ate 2 days ago and bring all the stuff in. Now we can make that all that stuff up. But let me tell you, filming in Texas, regardless, is tough. It's like filming in Louisiana. It's like filming in Atlanta in July. The humidity and the heat will make anything. Even bodies do weird things, like get heat stroke. So I can't imagine in 1974, man, these guys just sitting there doing it. But you can tell they loved it. You can watch that thing, and you watch them. If you ever talk to these guys, when I got the chance to talk to Gunner, I was at, I think, Monster Palooza many years ago, and I got to sit down, and I told him I got to do his scene, for the remake, and he didn't know there was anybody else that was in that movie that played Leatherface, so he had me sit down with him and chat with him for about an hour and a half while he was signing autographs. I said, go sign your autographs. He's like, no, you sit down, and I asked him so many questions about the movie, and he just loved talking about it. So, and some of the other guys I've watched, and some of the girls that have been in that movie, and they loved working on it, and they loved talking about it. And as I said, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. If that movie never would have came out, we would have probably be, we we would, and I'm not saying anything bad about some of the movies that were in the 60s and the 70s, but there'd be a lot of UFO stuff and a lot of green Martians, and we'd have our vampires and everything else. But as you and CJ were talking about, this really, and I think it's true, it's like the first real big slasher flick, you know? I mean, there's probably some others that were mixed in, but 1974, I think it's, like you said, it was the beginning of something different that got people thinking about, especially filmmakers, right? I mean, once people saw that, they were going, holy crap. We just can't do the run-of-the-mill horror movie now.
Yes,
maybe it was guerrilla filmmaking, and they still, you know, even the fact that, you know, no budget, no, you know, they had prep and all that stuff. But if it was so hard to make and they still had a lot of fun and were able to put up with the heat and smell and, like you said, all the other, you know, dangers and stuff like that, that says a lot about the movie in itself.
Yeah, and you know, the overall success rate. Do you really think that these folks in the beginning were like, all right, we're in this for money? Nah, no, they weren't. They were like, let's do something different. Let's really switch the genre. Let's bring something crazy in here. And they did, and now look at it. It's done so much for just that franchise alone. It has, I mean, he's like, in my opinion, he's one of, I'm sorry, it's Leatherface, Michael, and Jason, you know. I mean, and there's Freddy in there too. I mean, there's that top 4, top 5. People want to put in Ghostface, whatever, whoever they want to put in. But Leatherface, I mean, he was, like you were saying, Brett, he was that 74. You know, there was no Myers running around yet, almost. You know, and there was no Jason, there's no Freddy. So that was really the forefront.
Yeah,
in a sense, it was before its time by about 5 years or 4 years.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because Michael Myers really gets in, and you know, obviously I'm a huge Michael Myers fan, and I'm a fan of all horror. But you know, that was my first experience into horror was Halloween '78. But really, Leatherface was the original slasher. I mean, there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You cannot argue it was the first of its kind. At least that it. I mean, maybe there's some that I don't know about that weren't as popular, I'm sure, but weren't as well done. But you know what Texas Chainsaw Massacre did and the way it scared people, just like Exorcist. But like Brett said, this was a movie that wasn't paranormal. It wasn't Frankenstein. It wasn't. I mean, it was something that you could really realistically happen. You know, there was a sense of realism that added to the fear to it. And for a small cast of new actors, I think they did a fantastic job as far as acting goes.
Well, that's just it. This isn't Transylvania. This isn't some far-off, distant land where some crazy doctor is doing experiments. This is in the middle of nowhere, and shit happens in the middle of nowhere. And I could tell when I was traveling, just real quick, it was funny. We went to Arizona, and we were traveling, and we decided, let's go to the Grand Canyon. We drove from Prescott to Grand Canyon, and let me tell you that around 3 hour or whatever drive, you get into areas where we stopped at a little gas station, and the bathroom, the broken mirrors everywhere, the swinging light bulb, like literally, it was like a movie. Shit happens in the middle of nowhere, and that's like what you guys are saying brought the realism of it. Like this can happen. This stuff happened. Imagine the stuff that has happened in real life that no one's ever going to hear about. You know, I mean, people are nuts, and that really brought it. It really brought like the realism to it.
It's like my GPS on the way to Florida recently. It took me for some reason in Alabama. It took me off like the main highways. It took me down every country road you could possibly find. Yeah, luckily it was the daytime, but I could have. I mean, it was literally 15, 20 miles or more before you get to the next gas station, and it'd be a small gas station. It's like, why the hell is my GPS taking me this way?
Oh God!
And it didn't on the way back. It took me all highways the way back, but. Yeah, it wanted me to. It was hoping I'd get there at night, and luckily I went to the hotel like right before I hit this part, so I drove through it during the day. But I could see at night being like, "Man, my GPS is playing horror movie with me right now."
I used to drive a truck back in the day, and I've been in some crazy little podunk towns to where like the washing machine is on the front porch. You know, I mean, it's just crazy. And there's a few times I'm like, oh man, you know, when's that gas station? I need to top off because I don't want to get stuck in, you know, this little area. So it's creepy. It's creepy.
It was definitely creepy, man. That little gas station over to Prescott to the Grand Canyon, man. Yeah, I mean,
Well-
there is, and I ate it. You know what the worst thing is? The worst horror part is I bought a sandwich from there and ate it, and it was all right. It was okay, man. I was like, all right, Mom, Pop.
Well, sometimes it's probably
don't
better
ask what
quality.
was in the
It's
meat.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Take special meat for those
Yeah.
kind of sandwiches.
Don't ask what's in it.
Yeah.
I didn't ask.
Yeah,
I
if you
ate
see
it
a
and we were fine.
golf station with barbecue and they're out of gas, you might as well try to get out of there and hope your gas tank will get you as far as you need to get.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're traveling with someone skinny, send them in.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
send the big guy in,
That's what
because then
they
they look at us,
No meat.
especially us 300 pounders, man. They look at us and go, "Ooh,
Yeah.
Ooh, cut a piece of bacon
you know,
off your
the
back.
winter's coming."
Right?
Reminds
Yeah,
me of Scotty and I when we were actually traveling through Texas to scout locations before we were filming, because we had one location that we hadn't quite come through yet, so we're like frantically looking for other ones, and we went in some weird areas in around Bastrop and whatnot.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ultimately, what would we go with on as far as a score on? I mean, as I don't want to say 1 through 10 because it's so hard to do that, but I'm going to give Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as far as a horror movie and what it did, an easy 9, just for everything it did, the realism, the special effects, and the limited budget they had. I don't know, it's easy a 9 on my horror film list for sure. I give it an
I
A.
think you got to give it a 10. I think it's
Yeah,
the first of its kind, right? So
Yeah, we'll give
anytime
it a 10.
something's the first of its kind, and it was that good, and it spawned this many remakes, just like if we talk about Halloween 78 spawned so much stuff.
Mhm.
It's kind of perfection. It's like you can't really. Sometimes when folks do remakes, you wish they wouldn't. You know,
Mhm.
you
Most of the
start
time.
hearing about they're doing remakes of Big Trouble in Little China and all this stuff, and you're like, don't mess
you
with
can't do-
perfection.
oh my God, no. Oh my
You know,
Yeah.
so I think I give it's the perfect score. Whether or not that is my favorite movie in the series, you know, out of all the Texas Chainsaw, it doesn't matter. To me, it was the first of its kind.
Yeah.
It got people talking, it got people going crazy, and it changed the way that filmmakers after it decided to make their scary movies. You know, then they had to start thinking about, man, maybe we need to put some more realism in this stuff, and maybe we need to find some just bizarre stories out there to make, or we have to create something different because anyways, so I give it a 10. Perfect movie. Not much more you can do. I mean, if you really look at it, if you watch it again now, you see how people, it's the bloodiest movie. Well, really, it's not. There's not that. If you really look at it, it's not that bloody. It was the other stuff that makes you freak out. And then if you go back into it, then you go, okay, all right, I see it. But for the big swags, I give it a 10.
Yeah, if I'm rounding up, I'm giving it a 10. That's for sure. I don't think I totally believe that anything can be perfect. So I mean, it'd probably be like a 9.8 or something like that, right? But if I'm rounding up, you got to give it a 10.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I give it a 10. I mean, like I said, it's just a groundbreaking movie. You know, it's spun off its own genre. I mean, when you get banned, you know, you're doing something right. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Good point,
it's
CJ.
definitely a 10 for me. I mean, casting was perfect. You know, like I said, that's what I'm going. I'm going a solid 10 on that.
Yeah, I'll go 9.5, 10. Like, yeah, it's like you said, nothing's perfect, but it's right up there because it was the first to do that type of slasher film. You've had Psycho, you've had Peeping Tom, you've had stuff like that before, but to try to be as visceral as it was and to really, really catch you off guard, yeah, you can't top it. And then, like Brett was saying, that, you know, everyone thought it was so bloody. They really don't show a lot. I mean, there's blood on her, you know, but they don't really go into making the gore. You're going like this, so you assume that it's, you know, the worst thing ever. It's all sound. It's all, you know, quick cuts, and not quick cuts like they do it today. It's much, much different, much more artistic, I feel.
And that makes a movie, man. Mm-hmm. When you get people, like you said, getting frightened and closing their eyes and thinking stuff that really wasn't there, That's what makes a movie. And that's, there's so many movies where they, fluff. I'll say they use fluff. I'll say they use so much blood and try to make it as gross as they can, but it doesn't mean it was a good movie. It just means you used the most buckets of bloods. You have 100 kills in it. Great. That don't make a good movie.
Right.
I mean, that means I'm glad you got funded and you made a movie, but that doesn't make it a close to a 9.5 or 10 movie and something original. And this was an original flick, man. All right, I'm talking too much. Let's go.
You're good. You're good.
I'm getting all this wrestler blood.
Brett Wagner. It's my favorite horror movie. That's at the end of the day, it's my favorite horror movie, and it's hard to not give it a 10. But again, nothing's perfect, so rounding up, giving it a 10.
Oh, I'm real excited for the Sawyer Massacre. Real excited for that.
Well, I hope we did good. I hope we did good.
You're going to do amazing, Steve. Don't you worry about it.
I'm always my own worst critic.
You have to be as an artist, as any type of
Puppo is saying he's eagerly awaiting. I want to give a shout out to a few people in the chat. Thank you for being here. We're going to pull up Puppo's mom, which is in memory of Lupara Das. I hope I'm saying that right for you, Puppo. Lost in May 28th, 2016. This show's dedicated to her and all the people who battled cancer. So made sure we pull that back up. And Sal's here. Hey, no, I thank Puppo for bringing it up and you guys for being here. I think it adds to it. Sal's here, somebody who battled cancer. Anthony Greco's twin brother.
Yep.
They do. You guys look so similar, man.
Oh yeah,
you guys look. They look so similar. It's like, me Sal's
and Merlo
here.
got hair. We still got hair.
I don't have no hair.
Supine's here. Cancer sucks. Yeah, we're all eagerly waiting the Sawyer Massacre. Brett's actually in a few things. CJ, I'm looking forward to the Evil 3. I'm so excited about all the stuff.
Brett's going to be in it. The big swag's going to be in it. So super excited. We're working on that.
We got the grind coming up too. We're shooting grind out there in Tennessee, which we're real excited about. There's so much with independent filmmaking nowadays. There's so much you can do, and I know a lot of actors. I'm not doing that. Why would I want? I'm like, why wouldn't you wanna? There's nothing better than working. It doesn't matter to me what it is, right? I love comedies. I love everything, but I love the work. And if you don't work, if you're not in class as an actor, right? If you're not taking classes every, once or twice a week, and then you're not working at all, I mean, it's just, you get rusty. It's like anything, I got a beer belly because I don't go, and I don't even drink beer. I got a food belly because I don't go to the gym much, but you want to keep acting, you want to keep reading, and you want to keep fresh. And if you don't, then you get stale. And then, all these football players, all these ex-pro wrestlers, all these athletes that are coming out will come get your big guy gigs, and they have a name coming off of TV. They have a name coming out of the NFL. So if you don't stay fresh and keep working, when you go in for those auditions, these other guys that are giant, that are 20 years younger than you, are going to get those gigs.
Yeah.
So stay fresh and work. I'm excited to work with CJ. I'm excited to work with doing the grind. And Dee.
No, the Dee.
Sorry, we just had our landlord just knocked on the window. I was about to grab my gun.
Oh boy!
Or your chainsaw. You need to grab a chainsaw, man.
I was like, hammer! I got a sledgehammer. Club, but it's not the hammer one.
I didn't take the part too seriously.
Now Leatherface has a gun. Great.
We got great landlords, thank goodness. But I live on a private property, so when someone's knocking on my you set this up, didn't you? Yeah. Anyways,
we're having you leather-faced, surrounded by leather faces.
What are we going to? Are we going to part 2? What are we doing?
We can. I think we went through part 1. I think we all had. We said. I mean, there's what else can you say other than really the perfect starter of slasher movies? Like I said, I can't argue a 10 score. I was right there. It was like, I don't want to be too overly, but it really is a 10 movie as far as a horror slasher and what they did. It's just, indie. Yeah. So we're on to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the sequel. Now this is an interesting one, in my opinion, because it's so different than the original, but it's still really, really good too in its own way. It has its own creep vibe to it. I guess we'll start with you, Steve. What do you think about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
Oh, no comment.
I know it's not your
Uh,
favorite at all.
I don't know. I mean, I've tried to get into it. I've tried. I just as I know it's got a huge fan base, but for me, it just I don't know. I could never wrap my head around it. It's just one of those things. I mean, maybe I'm just such a big fan of the original that the total left turn that movie is just I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. And I want it to work, but it just doesn't work for me.
Is it the silliness? Is it the campiness? Or
A little. I mean, if I found it funny, maybe that would be different. I never really found any of the comedy horror funny, but even still, I just don't feel like, even if I did find it funny, I'd probably I'd still feel weird about it, because I just don't feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a funny thing. It's a pretty scary thing and a very real thing. And this took all those real elements, and it was all of a sudden gone. So yeah, I'll be honest, not the biggest fan of this film. Well, if I'm being totally honest, just as a whatever you want to call it, for the rest of the films, I mean, I'm not really a huge fan of a lot of the films in the franchise, other than the first film, for the most part. But this one, yeah, for whatever reason, I've tried, and I can't find myself liking it.
I can understand that.
yeah, respect.
It's not for the original's not for everybody either, though. Too. And
I'm not sure if I'm having any problems, but like on my computer, we're running fine, but on my phone, CJ's head's doing this big twitch thing going on, and
No, you're
Steve,
all right.
you look
You're
fine. All right, yeah, because which is
fine on
fine.
my computer.
Yeah, but you should see my TV screen. It looks like everybody's like spazzing out and fast forward or something. It's pretty crazy.
I'm gonna kind of agree with Steve. So once I got older, right, and once I've started to, think about being, I break down movies into scenes. So it's tough to find another Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, right? So now I break it into scenes. So in 2, yes, it was silly. There was a lot of silliness. I did enjoy some of the humor. I did enjoy some of the scenes, some of the individual scenes. As a whole, not my favorite movie in the franchise at all, not even close. But I still like some of the, Dennis Hopper, and some of the silliness was okay. But yeah, way different than the original, and that might have offset a lot of people when they watched this and were expecting just that whole grittiness. And now, not that there wasn't some great acting in it, because there was, but it was definitely more goofy, if that's the right word to use, instead of silly. I like to say goofy. And I do like some of the scenes, the truck on the bridge, and some of that stuff was some of my favorite stuff. And I do believe one of our friends probably, I think, has bought that truck, and they're fixing that truck.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give it a 10. That's for sure. I'm not going to give it a 9. We'll talk about that at the end. But yes, the silliness, some of the silliness and some of the goofiness I could see where it would offset a lot of people.
I mean, for me, my experience, that was the first. It just brings back memories when I was in high school with my buddies, and I remember going to Blockbuster Video, popping that. I actually seen part 2 before I saw the first one, so that was my first introduction. And it was just insane. It was just watching it with my buddies and in the basement, and it was just insane. I once again, like I rewatched it a couple weeks ago. I still enjoyed it. The ending with her, Lefty with the chainsaw. I saw that. I'm like, it was garbage. And I turned it off after that. That's when I ended it. But just for me, it was fun just because of the memories of seeing it for the first time. And then after watching that. Same thing. We went back to watch then we said, let's go get the first one. And I think they kind of like, it was a reversal. We saw the second one first, thinking number 1's going to be just as campy, and it wasn't. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? This thing's hardcore. So for me, yeah, I enjoyed it. It had its moments. I liked it. I liked it, just like I said, but it's, it's dear to my heart just because of all the memories.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
I think. Well, it came so far after the first one too, and
Yeah.
it was it's
Very true.
definitely 80s,
86.
and you knew going into it. Well, first off, the poster was The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Most-
So they did that on purpose. So you knew it was going to be,
Yeah.
very 80s, and it was silly. I will say though that the production value, as far as how it looks, they really went overboard with the sets. And I guess they said that it was 100 degrees in that too, so it was hot and miserable and gross and dust all over the place and stuff. But it was definitely campy, silly. I actually like how Leatherface looked in it personally. He was sillier and all that. I thought his look was cool. I thought the suit with the tie and less hair on it. I thought the mask was cool for Savini, Savini sculpt. Acting, I think, was pretty good, but it was definitely a product of its time, for sure. For sure.
I love Chop Top. I was a fan of Chop Top, scratching his head with that coat hanger.
Disgusting. It's still gross.
Oh, fuck, am I watching? That was pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, you bite your fingernails, and you're like, "Why am I biting my fingernails?" This guy's scratching, pus and skull skin off of his plate. It's disgusting.
Bill Moseley. That's the first role I remember seeing him in too.
He signs
great
those
at
things at conventions. He signs those little the little metal plates.
Oh, does he?
Oh yeah.
He's the master of working a convention, man. The master, and he'll sign that stuff. And listen, I've signed next to him before at conventions, and like an idiot, I never got my little plate in the skull thing signed, and I should have.
Yeah.
What say you, Camp Crystal Cabin?
Well, I'm going to be honest, gentlemen. I've never seen that movie all the way through because the first one was so good. When by the time the second one came on, Michael was already on the scene. Things were happening. There was a lot going on, and then by the time that I even cared about even thinking about it, the Jason was already there. I can't lie. I mean, I have never. I heard. And I don't know if it was because of the potency of the first one, the original, or that with a combination of just what I had heard by the time that, because I'm 45, so I was at that age, you know what I mean? I was still 10, I was young. So by the time I started watching them, the first thing I ever seen was Halloween 1. That was my first movie I ever seen. And I mean, that movie just, I can't, we're not getting into that, but I got to be honest. I've seen bits of it, and there was parts of it that I see the humor, I see what people were talking about, but it was never a movie that I saw all the way through. But I always gave it its due respect, so I really can't give it really a final rating. But it's nothing like Steve started. It's nothing. It's total left turn from where the first original came from, and I just never had the desire to really go. By that time, like I said, a lot of stuff was going on, and I was already hooked on Halloween and Friday to even go back to care about it because I just left the original,
Well, CJ, I think you mentioned something too. You said you saw it with your buddies in a basement.
Too. Yeah.
And you can tell that was made for guys hanging out together, drinking, and just watching stupid shit late at night. That's totally what that movie was.
Pulling bong hits.
It was written to be that movie, and I think that was the misstep. I found it fun, but it was definitely done a different way on purpose.
No, it was almost like the equivalent to Jason X. I mean, that's a lot of people love, and I love him too. Respect, but it's a goofy movie. You know that going in, and it's one of those types of things. But it's still considered. There's iconic things about each and every one of these movies, even if it's one little bit. There's always one part of every movie, remake or not, that is like, wow.
You're saying it's better if you're stoned to watch it. That's what you're saying.
Hey, I
It's
love
better
it.
to have a tasty beverage,
Yeah,
have a little
listen.
apple pie, as
That's
we
my
call it, which is
problem.
moonshine, and have a
Yeah.
nice big doobie in your mouth.
That's
He's
right.
absolutely right. There's movies that end up being classics that you don't want anyone bothering you. Then there's movies that you end up making out to down the line. That's it. So
Right.
I will concur.
Yes.
What about
So
you,
what do you guys
Mr.
give-
Doomsday?
What's
Yeah,
your rating on this movie?
You know what? Dennis Hopper was my least favorite part about the movie. I love Dennis Hopper, but I did not like it. I don't know. You could have taken him out, and I would have been happier with the movie. And that's just being honest. I love Dennis Hopper, Easy Rider.
Yeah.
I love Dennis Hopper, but I did not really. I mean, it was just we got Dennis Hopper. How can we use him? And he was in there.
yeah, let's do what we can.
Yeah, hey, we got Hopper. What can we do?
Got a big name.
But,
Dennis Hopper
some
thought of
cool.
that, so
I
I've
mean,
never
he
seen an
got that
interview.
cool chainsaw. He just didn't wield it too well. He's like chopping at that big branch like he's doing. I don't know. But it was a very different movie than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. For me, as a kid, I might have. See, the thing about the original is I like it more as an adult. Like every time I see it, I like it more and more.
Yeah.
Whereas a 12-year-old, I guess the tube TV on a VHS, it just felt like a dark movie where I couldn't really see much. The old style TVs, I think CJ kind of mentioned that on Tubi it looks so much better. You can actually see. So it felt like as a kid, I'm just watching on an older tube TV, and it just looked like black and somebody screaming through the whole thing, and I didn't like it. So part two at the time, the weirdness I love. Now when I look back at it in hindsight, and I even got the radio station that Vinny built back here. We got to give Vinny a little shout out, even though he missed coming.
Oh yeah,
it lights up and everything. It's awesome. It's awesome. I got to glue a few pieces that got wrecked on the.
What you said about screaming, and that is one thing I took away. I had the wife watch. So the wife is, my wife is a little bit younger than me, so she's never watched a lot of the what we call classic horror movies. So we watched it the other day, and she came away with going, man, there's a lot of screaming in that movie. And I'm like, there's a lot of screaming in this movie.
Which one?
Part two.
Okay.
Oh, part two.
Yeah, she's got lungs on her for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
There was some great moments. You gave it a 5 out of 10.
I'm going 5. Five Guys burgers.
I'm going 6.
I can't give it a rating. I didn't watch it all the way through, but I will, and probably give it a 5.
5. I think I give it a 6 too. I do like it. I like how it looks. I think it's fun.
Ending sucks.
I don't hate it, but I think it's a 6.
I'd probably give it a 4.
I'll wait for that.
Wow, Steve, that's a higher rating than I thought you'd give it.
Yeah, for someone who hates it so much, that's pretty good.
I mean, I don't hate it that much, but I mean,
it's just not the level of Texas Chainsaw Massacre one. If you could see, here's how my rating goes. If you compare it to the first one, it doesn't even feel like the same movie, except for a few really what Jim Saito and it was the only one that really kind of brought you back. It didn't have the same vibe. I loved some of the scenes. I loved like when Stretch gets Leatherface puts the face on Stretch and throws on the hat. There's some great moments in the movie that I really liked a lot, and there were some really bad ones. I'll give it a 6 too, 6.5, just because I can watch it, I can enjoy it. I did like the beginning when they're chasing down the assholes in the one car. I think
that was good kills.
The yuppies.
I you know what, and it was mentioned in a documentary, so I'm not going to. But you could, I love Tom Savini, I do, but for Leatherface, you could almost tell it wasn't. There's a realism in the look, so I'm going to give the look. It was Bob Elmo was great. I really enjoyed the look, but it just didn't. I enjoyed the original look even better more because it was more raw. But I will give it a 6, also 6.5. Something I definitely don't hate. It's not my favorite horror movie, but. I'm going to give it a 6.5.
All right.
Nice.
Cool.
All right. Have you heard of this one, Brett? It's the 03 remake of. You know what? Let's go to Leatherface first.
Let's go to Leatherface.
Let's go to Leatherface because I know you just watched it and I rewatched it again today. Leatherface, 1990 Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back, guys.
One of my
I gotta
one
check
of
out.
my
Yeah.
favorite. Go ahead, Anthony. One of my favorite bands of the time, Loz Rocket, did the ending credit music for the credits there, and that was a heavy metal band of its time. And I remember when I saw they had a video called Leatherface, and I was just like, oh my God. And I didn't see it at the time. Now, I used to work with RA when I was like 20 years old. We were working the bars and clubs in Hollywood and downtown LA. And if you guys ever met RA, he's the sweetest guy in the world. But 35 years ago, working the bars, RA was not the kind of guy you wanted to mess with. And I loved working with him because here was this big guy that was the nicest guy in the world until you poked the bear,
Yeah.
So, I love that movie. Ken Foree is so good in it. The characters to me are so twisted and cool. And Vigo, for God's sakes, people forget that of all the really big actors that have gone through this franchise that have been in these movies, right? I mean, you have Academy Award winners. You have Vigo, who I really enjoyed the movie. I loved it, and I loved the new. And RA was really good in it, and I loved the Saw. At this point, I was like, God, I got to have that Saw. That when he turns that thing, when he gets it, and he turns and menacingly shoves it in her face, I'm just like, oh. And then I was it. I'm a character guy. I love characters, and I think. I love the director. Jeff is. I love the directing. I mean, I know there's some other issues on the backside of that, in the that we can talk about if we want to. But I love the movie. Definitely one of my favorites in the franchise.
All right.
There you go.
Who wants to go next? I mean, I'll go last, or I'll go now. I just watched it today, so it's fresh in my mind. So maybe a few things I'll say will be refreshing. I know Brett just watched it again with his lovely lady, and I'm gonna have to say I loved certain aspects of it, and there's things I didn't like. I love the nod that Leatherface hurt his leg in the original one, and they had the brace on his leg, but I also hated that part in that too. I thought RA was really good as Leatherface. I really liked the Leatherface look, except for the metal leg brace. Something about squeaking, and Leatherface, even for a big dude, was always fast and chasing you down, and to lose that aspect of him. And yes, he was sneaky inside the house, that door scene and everything. But I enjoyed the movie. The cast, like Brett was saying, was fantastic. Viggo Mortensen, I mean, he was fantastic in the movie. I wish they gave them more. I wish it was more fleshed out. That little girl had the creepy factor to her, but it was also one of those things where I feel like they dropped the ball, and I think it had to do with studio interruptions, interference, not interruptions, with that movie of what it could have been. I think it could have been. I enjoy it. It's not a bad movie, but I think you could tell that they just interfered and butchered that movie of what it could have been. There were so many good things about that movie that with Viggo Mortensen, I want to see him. I wanted to see more of certain things, but there really wasn't nobody other than a couple people that you don't care about. Everybody kind of makes it, and I didn't like that aspect. It's a movie I enjoy. It definitely had its faults, and I can understand why the director would be irate, and I wish we got the movie that we should have gotten with it. But there was definitely faults in that movie, but there was a lot of talent, I think, that made that movie not terrible. So I'm gonna go with that. Steve, you want to go next?
Yeah, I can kind of echo a lot of that myself. But again, with me, it's not very fresh in my brain. I haven't seen this movie in about 10 years, probably around there anyways. And I'll be honest, there's a portion of this movie I can't remember. I think it's right before you kind of meet the whole family in the house, and there's like a good 20 minutes that I just can't really remember what happened.
Basically, they get out of the gas station, they get shot at, and they're driving down the
all
road,
that.
and then they get chased down by the big truck, and then they run into.
That's where I get hazy about there.
Yeah. Well, you don't really miss a lot in between that. I think, the house started off creepy, and then the family started off creepy, and then it just kind of cuts out, and it just you know, it felt short. It felt like it was missing a lot, and it definitely showed.
It felt like
and
it felt. I guess you would say to me, it felt like it had a lot of filler in it. Like they had a lot of stuff they didn't really know what to do. So let's just do this and see if it fills up a full feature length movie. At least that's what I can remember, anyways. I mean, it has been a while. I probably shouldn't rate this movie because I haven't seen it in a while. So it's one I should probably watch fresh again and to give a proper rating. But I do remember it had great acting. I thought actually all the family members did pretty well. They kind of, one of them was kind of like Chop Top, I remember, and another one was kind of like the Hitchhiker. So you almost had that kind of that dynamic between two of the family characters, which was kind of cool. But and Leatherface felt like he was more serious in this movie, which I was liking until he got to that. I can't even remember what it was, but like he kept pushing typing meat or food into it. Like everything he saw was food.
oh yeah,
I can't remember exactly what that was. It's like I said, it's been a while. And then that's where like Leatherface kind of felt goofy again. I kind of wish they didn't do that, but I guess I understand why they did. Yeah, the little girl was creepy. I thought there was really good potential with that, but a little bit of a missed opportunity there. A little bit of a missed opportunity. I don't want to get into that too much, but I felt like there was a cool aspect they could have done with the girl, but I don't know.
Yeah, she had a creepy factor. She had a creepy factor.
Did.
And it was I don't know, like I felt like the house was just a letdown. Like there were so many elements, like when she runs into the girl in the house, that it was missing. Like they could have done so much more with the house. And then it almost, I think maybe Halloween Kills or Halloween 2018 got it with the whole lights coming on and stuff at the house. It's just, for me, there was certain ways to take care of it. The way Vigo was killed off was kind of disappointing in it, because I thought he was a great character. I think he played crazy well, but there wasn't enough meat to really let him flourish, because I think his character had potential to be amazing with what he did. Like the cast was stellar. Ken Foree was amazing. Ari was amazing.
He's always
You know, John, you're right. You bring up the meat, and that the movie. I did see that movie, and it had a lot of potential. And you know what? It was almost like it was a shish kebab with a lot of potatoes and peppers, but not like only a couple slabs of meat. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain movies that really can. It feels like they could have done so much more. They were rushed almost. You know what I mean? It's like almost not even their fault, but like you got to do what you got to do with your budget, and it definitely was a lot less goofier than part two. I enjoyed it more. But again, like Steve was saying, it's been quite a while since I've seen it. And so it's really hard to really gauge it. But again, like John, like you were saying, I think you're right. There could have been a lot more done with it. I think if they had maybe a little bit more budget or some time.
I think it was studio interference, 100%, because the director was so pissed off. I think there was a lot more to Vigo's character. I think there was a lot more to the characters, and I think that's what was really missing in that movie, is them being more fleshed out and giving them the creep factor. Because Vigo he had the potential to have that really strong character needed in that film.
Correct me, John.
To go with Ari.
John, you said something about. Now I didn't even remember that about the knee brace. Did that creak when he walked?
Well, you'd hear him. Yeah, you'd hear.
Did they utilize that a lot? I don't remember how much they.
A little bit, but like I said,
because that is a good aspect. Now that can add some real ambience to it, but you know, depending on how they did it,
was just used wrong. It was. I felt it was.
You're back in my good graces, Camp Crystal. What did you think, CJ?
You know what? Once again, this was a blockbuster basement movie for me. You know, VHS. And I think the only time I saw it was back in probably 91 when it came out. So I really don't remember it that much. I've been going back, rewatching everything, and I just failed to rewatch that one. I get to a point where I have the script already for the Evil 3, and I have my own version. You know, I'm drawing from all different movies, so we have our timeline, and I'm just kind of drawing off of that. So I really don't. Do I want to watch it? I might tonight after this, but
Me too. Yeah.
you know, I don't even remember it. I mean, it was some crazy times back there in that basement. But yeah, you know what? I probably could have watched it the last couple of weeks just to get a refresher, but for some reason it's just been crazy busy. So it's my bad. I can't really give it a score because I really don't remember it.
It was short.
It wasn't my favorite though. It wasn't my
hard to
favorite.
give it
So
a
I think
score,
that put a bad taste. Maybe that's psychologically. I'm like, oh, you thought it sucked back then because it was one of the failures in the series, by the way. So it didn't make. I think it made like only $5 million at the box office. So
I'm noticing a trend. I'm noticing a trend that a lot of people don't remember it because they've watched it once or twice, and
yeah,
I've maybe seen it twice. Maybe seen it twice.
yeah.
But, you know, in fairness, you know, as I'm sort of getting a little older now, and I tend to pick up things in movies that I couldn't pick up there when I was younger, and appreciate those subtleties a lot more. So it's one of those things that maybe if I went back and rewatched it now, I would pick up some interesting subtleties that would make me appreciate it more. You know, just some little things that would, you know, just make certain things pop. You know,
Yeah.
But I'd have to go back and rewatch it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I will agree with it. Could have used another 30 minutes. It could have used, you know, you could have expanded on the characters, and you know, you could have kept Vigo around a little bit longer, but you would have needed that extra 30 minutes.
yeah.
But he was fighting Ken Foree, for God's sakes. I mean, come on. That's
He
Ken
did well
Foree,
too
for
against
God's
Ken
sakes.
Foree.
Now, you know, that's
He
like
did
going
well.
up against Superman in the horror business.
He did
Right.
well in
Yeah, you
that
know,
fight.
Brett, you're absolutely right. And, you know, one of the things that I like to see and which draws some anticipation and things with characters is get a little bit into each character, make the audience connected to each character somehow in a way. And that's the genius of some of these franchises. They always seem to somehow get you connected a little bit to these characters. So when they do eventually kick the bucket, or like you said, the final girl, like that makes it all the better, you know. So when they have to kill them off, or their time constraints or studio interruptions, it really sucks. They don't have the full potential that they really deserve, you know. And you got to give respect even to those quote unquote failures of franchises, because you know they're bringing something, you know, they're trying.
It was the
All right,
first.
well, for me,
Go ahead. Brett.
I'm giving it an 8 because it was one of my favorite in the franchise.
All right.
Puppo, the one Puppo Das, who had this video happen of us talking about it, he agrees with you big time, Brad. He says Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is one of the most underrated movies in the whole franchise. And
I gotta go back and rewatch it.
Yeah,
there is so much. There's two things I wish it did, and I don't hate the movie. I do really like the movie. I think it needed a few more characters on the road other than the two main people you start with. Because I loved I loved Ken Foree, and I loved what he could have been in the film with more people as fodder. Because you meet the one girl in the woods, she's great. She has a cigarette, you know, and then the next thing you know, you didn't learn nothing about her. Where like you said, Brett, if it had another 30 minutes, like the problem I have with the whole movie is I just wish there was more. It's not that I didn't like it. I just wish it got what it deserved, especially after watching what the director had to say. Like, he was so disappointed with all the cells they cut out that are just lost of
Yes,
what could have been
great
in that
guy,
movie.
great director.
Maybe needs to come out with a director cut.
They cut the cells and throw them out.
Yeah, they can't.
From what I understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going with an 8.
I can't vote.
I don't think I can vote either. I mean, it's been too long.
It has.
It'd be unfair. I think. I honestly hate giving movies I haven't seen.
You don't want to. It's not fresh. I can respect that.
I was a fan, but like I said, it was different times back then. So maybe tomorrow night. I'll give it a watch and post a review on Facebook.
I think
All
so.
right,
Me
Anthony.
too.
Yeah, I can't rate it either. I don't think, because I don't remember it as well like 2 or 3 of the other guys. I will say though, I do remember going and seeing it in the theater. It was the first one I saw in the theater. I remember going with my girlfriend from high school at the time. I remember liking it, but I didn't think it was fantastic. I would have to see it again. I think I've seen it twice since then. I don't remember a lot past them getting to the house. And I remember the person hanging upside down and the sledgehammer coming and hitting them, and then being upset that they cut away at the last second, to them just laughing and smiling. I liked R.A. though. I think he's got a cool look for Leatherface. I thought the red shirt, he looked, even though he wore a suit in the other 2 movies, for some reason he looked too normal. You know what I mean? He looked like just a guy with a mask on, and he had the red shirt and the reddish brown pants. It was an interesting look for him. He was more like a regular guy. I thought the Saw was cool. I thought the trailer was cool with the Excalibur. I thought that was an interesting. That was a sign of the times too. Texas 2 had the Breakfast Club poster, and then here you got the Excalibur. Him standing at the lake. It was interesting, but I'd have to watch it again.
Monster trucks.
Yeah,
I mean, and the future Viggo Mortensen, and then of course, since there's 3 guys have quit on us, Mr. Doomsday, it's just you and me.
Brett.
Camp Crystal.
We're gonna rewatch it, and then we'll be able to give an accurate.
I think he passed on giving a score.
Yeah.
So there's only you and me, buddy.
Crystal? Well,
Huh?
I don't like it as much as you do, but I think you got personal attachments to the film that I understand. So I think it's like I said, I think it could have easily been an 8. I could have been an 8 with more meat to it. And it was just, it felt like it was missing things, which it obviously was from what the director said. I'm gonna give it a solid 6, 6.5, somewhere around there, because I think it had potential to be a great movie, and it just fell short because of studio interference. I mean, the cast was easily a 9 on the cast. I thought everybody did a fantastic job. R.A. was great. Viggo was amazing. The whole cast was really good.
Yeah.
It just didn't have it. If it had just a little more time, like an extra half, it felt like a short movie. Even watching it yesterday, it's like by the time it started, it was done. You get to the house, and it felt like 5 minutes in the house, and it was done. Like it started off creepy with the little girl in the room, and Viggo was amazing. Like he got mad when he was called by his real name and not Duke, or
Tex.
was it Duke? Tex, and he got pissed. And then that's all you really saw of his temper, and then it just kind of,
You gotta have one good-looking dude in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have one good-looking guy. Don't get angry.
So, but he had so much potential and range that I could have done with the character. I think he'd probably agree, and maybe there's a film of what he could have been as the character, but I felt like they didn't let him shine the way he should have. They did.
Well,
they started off.
Hopefully, he will sign my poster. I know. I know where he's going to be in a month or so out here in L.A. And hopefully, some of these guys, and I don't know if it's he's that way because I've never gotten his signature before. But I know where he's going to be at something, and I'm going to take the poster. I'm going to camp out, and hopefully he'll go, oh yeah, and maybe he can give me a little story, which would be great. But he's the one signature I'm missing on that poster. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah. Complete.
I know what Brett's gonna do. He's like, if you ever meet that dude Doomsday's Crypt, he gave your film a 6, maybe a 6.5. I gave it an 8.
Well, let's get into the most brutal of the series then. The most brutal of the franchise.
Yeah, I can agree. We're gonna go to. I think Brett's heard of this movie, and a few of you guys have heard of it, and some people put it up there, and we're gonna talk about it. The 03 remake. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm gonna let Brett start with this whole thing because I think it's really. Or do you want to be last? Do you want to be first or last?
No, I talk a lot. Let's go. It definitely. written. It was written great, right? The script is amazing. I still have a copy of my script in there. It was just so well written. It was so well cast. Would I have liked to have finished the movie, of course, to give my take on it, but alas, I didn't. But Andrew Bernarski came in, and by far, in my opinion, was the most brutal Leatherface that has ever been in the franchise. In all the movies, in my opinion, he was just brutal as hell. I think the kills were great. I think it made Jessica Biel's career for sure. I mean, she just came out with just everybody in that movie from the start to the beginning to, the guys at Platinum Dunes that were producing it with Michael Bay. It just was it hit people, because I don't know what people thought they were going to see. And I remember when I read the script, I was like, hey. I remember when I read the script, I was just yelling at my dog, not my wife. When I read the script for the first time, I was like, holy crap, this is really brutal. And and I was hoping, I didn't know who they were casting. And then, I would get an email or something, or I'd see something on IMDb. And then I was like, oh, I know some of these people are. And then, I think brilliantly cast, and just brutal as hell. It was so brutal that I lasted a week. So that'll be my book, Leatherface for a Week. It was so hot and brutal in that heat in Texas, outside of Austin. Just for an actor.
How was that, Brett? How was that? Give us a firsthand. When you first got on the set, what were your expectations versus what really happened as far as heat and all that?
The director is a cool cat, but I had a big, I remember when I got to the set, I went down and we just did a couple little shooting, some filming with me, just the back of me, standing in a doorway.
Yeah.
It wasn't but the director, he's an interesting cat. And I had a big, I was 350 pounds at the time. I was just super gargantuan big. And I had this pink cut off, flannel I was wearing. It was like pink, and he goes, Leatherface in a pink flannel. Who cast this guy? And he was cracking some jokes, but it got pretty serious. And then, with the heat, once you put that costume on,
yeah,
and you're in the middle. I think I don't know, it was July or August when we were filming, in Texas, in a house that had black mold all over the place.
Wow.
And you got the mask on, and you're sweating, and 2 or 3 minutes you're starting to sweat. And then you got to remember what you got to do, right? You got to be physical, and you're working with actors, and I'm hitting them with sledgehammers, and I'm dragging them across the floor. And
typical day for Brett.
A typical day, yeah. So it was, but still, the script was great. For the love of me, I'm forgetting the guy, Scott. Forgetting the writer who did the rewrite on it. He's such a good writer. He's written so many movies,
Scott Martin Gershon. No, not him.
It'll come to me. I'll have to go grab it. He signed it for me. I had him sign it for me. But when I read it, I was just blown away. I was just like, oh my God, this is going to be.
Scott Stoddard? No.
Scott Stoddard. No, that's the guy who did my makeup.
Okay.
No, Scott Kosher, K-O-S-A-R, Kosher.
Kozar, yeah.
Kozar.
So he's such a great writer. He's written so much stuff. It slapped me in the face, It's like if you get pulled over for a DUI and you're mouthing off to the cop and he just slaps you.
Yeah.
Not that that's ever happened to me, but you just get slapped in the face. And when I read that script, it was like a slap in the face. I was like, oh, this is going to be really brutal. This is going to this is going to break some records. And that's what I thought. I thought this is going to break some records at the box office because it had been a while and nobody had seen this thing. And now they're resurrecting it. And they, it was a decent budget. I think it was like $17 million. That was my opinion. I was just like blown away by it. And then when we started filming, now I can't really talk much more about it than from the filming aspect. But when I watched it, I just remember going over the script in my head when I'm watching the scenes and going, this is just brutal.
Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah. Thanks for that though, Brett. I was interested in that.
And Brett was in my opinion, and it's not even just because he's here, but I think you were in some of the most iconic scene. I know it was a real honor for you step in Gunner's shoes and slam that door in that scene. And
Mhm.
that had to be the heaviest Leatherface outfit I've ever seen too for that movie. It looked heavy, the apron, everything, just, and the mask was really thick. There was a
Well, it's
level
not
of heat
the apron. It was thin. At least the apron I have now, it was pretty thin. It's just that they wanted. One of the things I stole, I shouldn't say stole, but when we were doing, I
borrowed.
had like a month, and once I booked the role, I had about a month and a half before we went out and shot it. And I was trying to, lose weight, get in best shape as I can. And I remember when we went to wardrobe, they had an idea of how they wanted the outfit to look, and they kept making changes. And I stole that, put it in my script, because I'm like, I got to take something that's kind of cool that no one will ever see. So they kept making me. I have very small forearms, so then all of a sudden we had to have the long sleeve shirt, and then we had to have the cuffs over that. Then they wanted to make me look like I had a big, like a silverback gorilla. They wanted me to have a bigger, hump, bigger on my back.
They wanted to do the part 3 hump from the Jason
yeah,
part
man, it
3
started
bump.
getting, so you were getting this stuff on, and I'm already 350 pounds. So
You get me excited.
yeah, it was a brutal outfit, to be honest with you.
It was latex too. Latex, like I said, I got this right here. I know I've talked to you about it, and I've worn it a few times. It's got the hump too.
That's hot.
But yeah, I mean, I'll wear it for like 5 minutes, and I'll be like, what? I'm bleeding. Like, you just feel the wet come down you. You don't even realize how much you sweat in it. So I can only imagine being in it for hours at a time, being a big dude, and having to deal with that in the heat and the element you really had to be in. I'm surprised more people haven't had the same issue that you did.
Well, we could have had my stunt guy that day there, because he could have done some of that work, and it would have been awesome. And it'd be a different thing. We'd be talking about something different. But it happens in TV all the time. It happens in movies, and people get hurt.
I honestly think this is a perfect time for you. I'm going to say it right now. I'm excited for everything you're doing. You're a busy dude. I got to give Michael Toth a big shout out for introducing me to Brett. Amazing artist. I think there's huge things for Brett, and just seeing him get busy. And he's been busy doing things like with with motorcycles and race cars. But you're such a horror fan, to see you coming back to it, because I know that's your ultimate love is horror and being in these films.
Yeah, it's what got me to be an actor. I watched my first movie ever, Night of the Living Dead, 1967. Then a campy film, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which I still think we should remake, because it's got the greatest name of a horror movie in the world right now. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. But that's why I wanted to be an actor. And, it took me, up into my 30s before I got my first horror, was Buffy and Angel. And then came along, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I got very lucky. I took a chance at the audition, and Michael Bay thought I was funny, and the rest is history.
Was Michael Bay at the audition? Was he there when you?
No, he wasn't there. He just the casting director sent him the tape, and the next day called me and said, "Hey, you're gonna guess what? Michael Bay thought you were funny. You got the gig." And I was like, first person I called was R.A.
Damn, and then your heart must have been boom, boom, boom. Oh shit!
Oh, you have no idea. I was going nuts. And then I called 1,000 people in 10 minutes. Believe me, I was on the phone. Guess who's new, Leatherface? And then the casting director called me back 30 minutes later. Said, "By the way, don't tell anybody." And I'm like,
"Oh, that's his fault. He should have said something. Who's not going to?"
But I was still young in the game then, so I didn't. Now I don't say crap unless we're allowed to say something. I don't say shite. We just keep it shut and.
Until you get that permission.
Tell them on the set filming, unless it's something that we're trying to promote, or we're pumping, or the director wants you to do it, or we're trying to raise some money for it.
Brett, but that's impressive, man. That's Michael Bay. That's not just a ham and egger. I mean, his movies are top echelon movies. Everything
you ain't lying, but if you can make them laugh, you have a good shot at getting a gig. That's what I've learned.
Well, that's a good tip.
But the most brutal movie, the most brutal movie I ever, as far as in the franchise, in my opinion, that had come out, and definitely the script was the most brutal thing up until at that time that I'd ever read. So I had good feelings about it, and then when I watched it, on the big screen, I was I was even more blown away. So I just thought it was pretty much it brought back that whole it got rid of the campiness that was in some of the other movies, right? It got rid of that stuff, and it just was a constant, and with great acting and with the effects and everything else, it was just a brutal movie in my opinion.
I can't agree with you more on that. I just want something quick. Puppo Dash, we'll give your mother another shout out, sir, since we're doing this for you. But he's saying you were the best part of that film. His appearance was so scary, absolutely bone chilling. I can't, I agree 100%, Puppo, because that scene when slamming the door, it was probably the scariest scene in the original. And one of the things I loved about the remake was it wasn't a copy and paste of the original. It had its own story. It respected the original, but it also did its own thing in a way that most remakes just make me want to vomit. But this one didn't, and it's personally my second favorite in the franchise. It's mine because, like Brett said, it brought it back to being just scary. There was nothing comedy about that movie. There was so much it was just mean, and it was updated, and it was just the nails being broken off like you see at the beginning of the movie. You see the nails sticking on the wall, and then you see how it happened. And even changing the hitchhiker, who was a legend in the first one, to the girl who shoots herself in the face, and oh my goodness! And
the camera shot. So when I read the script, I didn't understand how they were going to pull that thing off where she shoots herself and the camera's like going right through her, her skull and everything. I was like reading it, going, "Oh, this will be interesting to see how they pull this off." And then when you see it in the movie, you're like, "Oh man,
yeah."
And the late R. Lee Ermey. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's a movie stealer, not just a scene stealer.
Were you able to spend time with?
Really?
Were you able to spend time with them before everything happened? Did you get?
Didn't even see him. I think I saw him at the hotel and passing by, and I was going to go. Oh, I want to say something. That's the Full Metal Jacket guy. I want to say something to him, but I'll wait until we get further into the movie.
Iconic, yeah.
He had such great lines with the she ain't gonna wrap herself up or whatever with the saran wrap and all that. And then he said, "Where'd you say she had the gun on her?" And she puts it in the holster, and they're like, "That's fucking weird,"
Oh yeah,
he was just so good.
He was great. That was one of the things that actually drew me to it, because at that time, now I'm older. Now I'm experimenting, like looking at more horror movies. And when I heard he was in it, and I loved him. After you hear it exactly like Full Metal Jacket, it's like, all right, he was iconic in that. And now in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what's going on here? Let's go take a look. And the way that he just played his part, the whole shit, you almost kind of in the beginning, and I had not seen, again, it had been a while since I've seen, the previous one. So I was like, okay, let's take a look. And I think he did great. And the lighting again brought back like the old school lighting. It was dull. It was, but sharp at the same time. It was just so hard hitting.
Cinematography.
Yeah.
If there's one actor I want to see play the same role in a sense, or take that same, type of aggression and what they're good at over and over and over again, it's Harley. The dude just plays that. That dude's just a legend. R.I.P. to him. I mean, he was one of my favorites, and he's like Brett said, a scene stealer. That man gets on screen, and all eyes are on what he's doing and everything.
Hey, you know what? Real quick, John, it's not horror related. I'm sorry, but rest in peace, Ray Liotta. That's a shame. I loved Ray. What an icon in film. I just got to say that. What a shame. At least he went into sleep. I'm glad for that. But that's a shame. And I wanted to just throw that in there real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, well, he was in a few movies that people didn't even know. One of the first movies I saw him in that I loved, I think it was called. I can't remember the name of it because there's other ones where he can't remember if he was the killer or he did the killing, and I can't remember the name of it. It was the 90s.
Well, I did when Liotta passed away. I found out late, so I'm like, you know, it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I go, let's watch the Goodfellas again. So
Did you? I almost
yeah.
did that too, CJ.
I had to pay tribute, pay my respect, because that movie
Yeah.
meant a lot to me.
I got to
Good.
do that too.
Yeah.
That I
Field
told
of
Vinny.
Dreams.
I told Vinny,
Shoeless
you
Joe.
know that one iconic scene where Ray's in there and they're at the table, with everyone's at the table in there, and he's got that really big laugh on. He's like, he's got his mouth wide. It's like I was like, you should 3D print it. He's like, actually, that's a good idea. I mean, that's a nice piece, but yeah,
For him to be able to steal scenes with Joe Pesci and steal the scenes with, you know, with Robert De Niro. I mean, that dude's a scene stealer.
Unlawful Entry. Remember that one?
Unlawful Entry. Yeah. I mean, with Kurt Russell. I mean, the dude's a legend. He's a scene stealer. He was great in Blow. I mean, as the father to Johnny Depp's character. Who could say enough? Copland. Oh my God. Yeah. Copland is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
He's been in a ton of my favorite movies. So yes, rest in peace to Ray Liotta.
R.I.P. baby.
Yeah, legend, lost too soon. So yes.
Yep.
But back to the 07, 03 remake. 03. Excuse me. I think I'm ready to go Halloween on us. But 03 remake. Let's go with Steve.
It's my second favorite in the franchise. I still have a lot of issues with it, but man, Arlie Ermey, man, he was great. He was fantastic. In fact, I'll be honest, I think he was scarier than Leatherface was in the movie, especially in that van scene when he's interrogating the other. And great acting by the kid, the nerdy kid, whatever. I can't remember his name. Because he genuinely looked scared in that scene, but that whole scene, Arlie Ermey was so terrifying in that scene, and man, it's that was probably the scene that I liked the most. Well, other than the beginning, I really liked the beginning of the film, the way they did John Larroquette's narration and showed all that police footage. So that police footage looked really authentic. You know, you really believed it was from that time period. And again, you know, echoing on what you said about the hitchhiker, that was a way to do the hitchhiker quite a bit differently than the original. So props to that. Yeah, I mean, do I have negatives? Sure. I'm not a fan of all the actors in it. Not a fan of some of the costume design. Yeah, that's I mean, some of the things that happen, like the meat hook scene. I would say that it was kind of weird that Leatherface held the guy in front of the meat hook for about 10 seconds before he actually put him on the meat hook. Nitpicking, I guess, but I get it. It was the cinematic, dramatic. It was you know, so they can focus pull on the hook beside him and all that stuff, and he can look over at it. But is Leatherface going to hold him up in the air for like 10 seconds before actually putting him on the hook? I know that wasn't you, Brett, but or it wasn't, was it?
Brett would have held him for 20 seconds. He would have held for 20.
Did you have to hold that guy in the air for that long? That was a big guy too.
So what do you rate it?
What's
your rating on it? What's your number rating?
Oh, we're doing ratings already? Yeah, because I
thought we were going to do that at the end. Well, let's give Anthony a chance.
My bad.
We'll do Anthony next because he's been sitting there all with his jaws. He's ready to just snap and bite us. Let's let Anthony go. Your thoughts on it?
I really liked it. That was the only other one I ever saw in the theater besides 3. I really liked it. I thought everyone in it. I thought it looked like it was the 70s. I think the costume design made all the kids look good. They had the skinny look. Everyone looked hot as fuck. I mean, everyone was soaking wet. I don't know how much of that was sprayed down or if it was just that hot, but everyone looked authentic in that. I thought everyone did pretty good. The nerd kid, I hate to call him a nerd kid, but the nerdiest of the kids, sometimes he bothered me, but I think he was, you know, every group of friends has that kid in it. So I thought they did really well. I thought, you know, obviously Jessica Biel was hot. I thought she looked great. I thought everyone was good. Going to your kill, Brett, I think the way it was edited in with Kemper looking and then looking through the door and seeing the cartoon with the drums,
Yes.
the way the sound design was there, and it was, you know, edited back and forth between that. I thought that was phenomenal. I think that that was probably the coolest edited scene in the whole thing. I just thought that was
Totally my whole suggestion on that. Turn to the director. And, no, that wasn't me. No.
No.
Yeah, it's just I love that scene. I thought the way it was edited was very good. Yeah, Arlie Ermy you could tell he was having fun. Or it seemed like he was having fun because he was definitely hamming it up. And you know, I don't know how much he improved, if any of it, to throw the kids off to make them a little more, you know, off their game to really fear him or think he was, you know, I thought it was great. The rest of the family, I had no real problems with. I think the younger girl, I don't know if it was his sister or whatever, I can't remember, but the one that took the baby, you know, that part was a little strange to me. It was fine. I mean, I understand where they were going with it, but I didn't really care for her too much. But I really liked the movie. I thought it was definitely vicious, definitely brutal, and I think it looked really well. I loved the. I know you didn't like the meat hook scene, but I liked the curing of his leg with the paper and the salt. You know, that really drove that scene home for me. You know,
Salt
and then
in the
he's trying to
wound.
pick himself up, and then he falls back down on it. But yeah, it was weird to hang up there and then focus over on the hook. But
I
get
get
what
it,
you-
but yeah, it's not like the original where it's like it's so quick and it just feels
Right.
so real. But and
It's-
you know, just stuff like that
filmmaking
kind of. I don't
choices.
know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. But I thought it looked great. I thought it really looked like the time it was supposed to be in. I thought they did that really well.
What say you, CJ?
You know, it was probably one of my third favorite, you know, so, you know, the casting was awesome. I mean, obviously we had, you know, big swag, you know, in it, but I mean, Jessica Biel, man, in that white, sweaty, wet tank top, I mean, and little low jeans, I mean, you know, right there. Cinematography's awesome, editing perfect. Actually, and I rewatched it about a month ago, and I didn't know Michael Bay produced it until I went through all the credits, and I was like, holy shit, that's a Michael Bay film. So I didn't know that was something new for me. But yeah, no, I thought it was some great quality kills, and it was one of my favorites.
Mike, Camp Crystal Cabin 6.
Don't get me started.
Oh.
I know you see the name Camp Crystal Cabin 6, but this film was the one that was redemption. This was like, what in the hell is going on here? The casting was unbelievable. The acting was incredible. The writing was insane. Brett, it's my number 2. It goes 74, and it goes that's it. I mean, everything in that movie. When she is behind the wall, like looking between. My favorite scene is probably when she's watching the dude get his face cut off, and she's watching it happen between that little crack. You know what I mean? I was like, what is? And Arlie Ermy made it seem like Brett was brutal. The editing, like you were saying earlier, I'm sorry to whoever said about that in the cut. It was absolutely, it's one of my favorite kills in the franchise, if not the. And I mean, Jessica Biel's awesome. Always nice to have eye catch. She's also an amazing actor, and you know, and Michael Bay producing, just bringing everything together. I loved it. I loved it. It was it's one of my favorite, probably my top 10 of all time horror movies. That movie brought it back, man. It brought the pain, baby. It was brutal. It was realistic. The whole, like, Arlie Ermy almost gave you like a sense of like, oh, maybe he'll help me. You know what I mean? In the beginning, and he kind of give you, not really help you, but he kind of, never knew what to think.
To the dinner table.
Well, yeah, right. But you don't know that. The kids didn't know that. You know, they're just out there doing whatever. But I loved it. I'll give my rating right now. That's a 9.
Very good.
Very nice.
You know, you're going back.
It's interesting. So Marcus Nispel, our director, you know, he struck pay dirt like really quick back to back.
Mhm.
You know, he did obviously Texas Chainsaw Massacre, did the remake of Friday the 13th with Derek Mears. I mean, both.
Don't get me started.
I mean, you have a director all of a sudden that was like, bam, bam. You know, he was hitting you with the left and then a right, and then he went down from there. But he had two of the biggest grossing horror movies probably of all time. And pretty much back to back. I forget. You'd have to look when they were shot, but not too far. I don't think they were too many years after each other. But look at the writing, the directing, the cast, the special effects, the costumes. Scott Stoddard, who did the makeup and did the mask and all that. It was, Michael Bay producing with Platinum Dunes and those guys. It just, sometimes you get a perfect storm and the stuff comes together and it makes people realize. And, when something like that happens, like the original, when it happened, people had to rethink how they did their horror movies. You got Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 comes out. People are going, oh man, we're going to have to spend a little bit more money and we're going to have to really get some good writers for stuff. And I think some quality movies were made after it. And I think it definitely, in my opinion, just the most, whether it's my favorite or not, which obviously the original is still my favorite. It definitely, in my opinion, it like he said, like Mike said, it redeemed the franchise.
It redeemed it, man. That movie, I can talk. Listen, I don't care. I will talk all night about that movie. That movie is brutal. It is absolutely brilliant. I love, and the same goes for the 2009 remake. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
That is absolutely that is like I'm telling you, 2009 remake.
You're talking 2009 Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Hell yeah! That I don't care what anybody. And I respect.
I think that
that was one of my favorites. Friday the 13th.
People were so mad about the remake, and I remember at the time watching it because it was in my early 20s. It was not my 20s, but it was like my 20s, mid 20s, and a lot of hard-headed people about it, but over time, Derek Mears was amazing as Jason. I think it brought it back to its roots.
That movie, John,
it was done well. It
was absolutely brilliant. How does Jason pop out of nowhere? Tunnels. Oh, but how does he know where they're at? Bell system? Are you kidding me? Are people not looking at the depth that these people want to write this movie? I can't even describe. And then sprinting. Oh, great. On top of everything else, let's have him sprint.
Well, he always did until really, part 5, you could say he did kind of
John,
too.
not like that.
But
not
part
like
6, once you got to part 6 and Zombie Jason and nothing against Kane Hodder, I love, or CJ Graham also in part 6, but it was a different type of Jason, and it did need a reboot. It did need a reboot, and I thought Derek Mears was fantastic. But we're talking Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
But that's what I'm talking about. That's another. Because I'll talk all night about.
Yeah, that's another show.
Real quick. Let me give you a little tidbit about Derek Mears. He's an expert on comedy. He's one of the most funniest guys. My wife and me would go watch him in this improv troupe that would do all this. It's comedy sports, I think it was called. That guy is so funny. I mean, and he could be a stand-up comedian. He could be on a TV show as being a comedian or being just a funny guy. And then you see him how brutal he was in there. So, anyways, big shout outs to the man Derek Mears.
Derek Mears. I've seen some clips of him and Tyler Mane, and that was really interesting watching both of them. They seem like they're really great pals, and I'd honestly love like a fan film. And I bet you both of them would love to do something where it was just Michael Myers from 09 or 07 against the remake 09 Jason. I just love both of them. I think they're awesome. I think they brought.
I'm gonna shoot them an email.
Whether you like the Halloween remake, I know it's one of Anthony Greco's favorite movies in the world. Oh, he already blurred out. He's like, screw this.
He went out. Which one? I'll give 03 remake an 8.5.
That's a good score. What about you, Mike? You already said 9. CJ, what do you give it?
I'm
9.5.
going with Brett. I'm doing an 8.5. I liked it. I mean, it was a great movie. I mean, and it's one of those type of horrors that you can just watch over and over and over again. And there's really nothing I would change. You know, as a director, I go into movies thinking I would do this different, I'll do that different. I really wouldn't have done anything different. So yeah, I give it an 8.5.
Nice.
Jessica Biel, man, come on. That's a half.
It would have been an 8. She gave the extra half, huh?
Yeah.
So, Anthony, what about you, my friend?
I would concur with that. I'd go 8.5, and I don't think it's as good as the original, but for reinvigorating it and giving it a fresh spin, I don't think they could have done any better. And the fact that anyone that saw it, they weren't like, oh, I didn't like that. I think that was shitty in it. I think that was stupid. None of it was dumb. I mean, in terms of, silly dumb. It was definitely probably as perfect as you could do it, a remake and changing it and not trying to copy it. And, I really liked it. I just watched it again about 3 days ago, actually, with my daughter, because she's into gore and all that, zombies and Jason and all that, and she really liked it. So yeah, I like it. I say 8.5, almost up there with the original, just because I think they did such a good homage to it, but kept it fresh at the same time.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
It's a good one.
I'm going to give a shout out before I give my score. Steve still's got to give his, but let's do this since Puppo Dosh is a associate producer on the Sawyer Massacre, giving that a shout out. We're going to send our love to all the people with cancer. Miss Nupur Dosh, Puppo Dosh. He's excited about Scotty Parkin playing Leatherface in a little movie you might know about, Steve. Called again?
A little bit about it.
The Sawyer Massacre. We're all excited for you, brother, on that one. We're all excited for all you filmmakers, but I know the excitement for the Sawyer Massacre is through the roof. So, Steve Merlo, what is your score on this?
Oh man, that's a tough one. See, I'm kind of like CJ when I saw it, but I had ideas of what I would have done differently. So, I mean, there's a few things that I didn't like about it. Can't remember which one of you said it felt like the 70s. I didn't feel like it felt enough like the 70s to me. I think some of the costume choices, some of the like Jessica Biel's costume and the lingo, or would kind of bring it down for me. It felt very 2000s lingo because it, I get it because you're trying to appeal to that audience, but I think it doesn't have that same authenticity as the original. So I don't know. I'd probably give it around a 6. I know I'm hard. I'm a hard ass, but I'd probably have to.
Canadians are hard, man. They're hard.
Steve.
Except for Brett's scenes, you give it a 9.5, right?
Yeah, I give that. But honestly, how about this part? Jessica Biel chops Leatherface's arm off with about 3 hacks. Come on, that arm was like his arm was like that big. It was
she's very strong.
Steve, let me ask you a question. Steve, I'm going to give you a question. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 03 or Shivers?
I don't think I've seen Shivers. What's Shivers?
It's a Cronenberg movie. I've
heard of that.
Oh, geez, I love Cronenberg too. How have I not seen Shivers? I might have seen Shivers and just been a while. I don't know.
All right, I was just trying to pull my favorite besides you, Canadian filmmaker out there. The man that brought us Rabid.
I'm surprised I haven't seen that one. If you would have said Scanners, or if you would have said The Fly, or you would have said Crash, or I don't know. I've seen.
Yeah, I've never seen that one either. By the way.
I wonder if I have seen Shivers now. I'm curious.
Well, you're going to have to go watch it. One of Cronenberg's first movies he ever did.
Oh, okay, one of the first ones he ever did. I love Cronenberg. Actually, I do. I'm mad at myself for not knowing the name of that.
No, that's exciting. Though you can go look at it now. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't feel embarrassed. I didn't know it either.
Are we covering Mr. Doomsday Crypt Keeper? Are we covering the new one with Mark Burnham?
Yes, we can. I haven't given my score. I'm going to give it without rambling on too much about it. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I love the movie. I thought for a remake, it was done well, about as well as you can do a remake without insulting the previous movie and doing a remake with respect. I thought that it was it was fantastic. It brought, like Mike said, brought back the horror, took away the cheese, and was straight up badass. I honestly loved a lot of kills in it, and it was gory in its own way. Scenes that, but nails on the wall always will kind of give you that extra thing, and that kind of had a extra pop to it. So yeah, an 8.5 easy for me. It's a movie I can watch anytime and not be bored with it. Arlie Ermy, you can't go wrong with him. I'll watch anything he does anyway. He could just sit there in a room by himself and just start yelling at anybody he sees in the camera, and I'm cool with it. So yeah, 8.5. It's up to you guys. Do you guys want to do the
I want to do it.
Yeah, why not?
I say so. I just want to make sure, because we're at an hour and 45 minutes, and we're gonna just do this real quick. We're gonna put her on the full image. Puppo Dash is in loving memory of his late mother, who passed away 5/28, which would have been 6 years ago. Yesterday, 5/28/2016, he asked and requested this video. His mom passed away from cancer. He's been a huge supporter in the community, and I wanted to get everybody together that we have tonight and give something special back to him and his mother, and also everybody who's ever suffered or dealt. And I think we all have somebody with cancer or has beaten cancer. Very, very honored to be doing the stream, and I thank all you guys for being here. We are going to be moving on to the newest one, the Netflix 2006 series. I got to run upstairs for a minute because we're at 2 hours and I need about 2 minutes. But
he got
we're going to.
You only need 2 minutes, man. You didn't eat tonight.
Do you have like one of those automated commercials you can put in?
Answer break. I took one 2 minutes ago.
It's time for a commercial break.
Enter elevator music.
This commercial is brought to you by Spiky. Can't use Nike.
By
It's a
Charmin.
Nike. It looks like Nike, but it's really Spiky. But yeah, let's go into the Netflix remake. I'm gonna start with to my left,
right.
but on my screen to the right, Camp Crystal Cabin 6, and I will let you guys talk, and I will listen from the back.
All right, this will be easy. Didn't see it yet.
No.
Over to you, CJ.
You're moving in. No, I gotta say, you know what? That movie, there's a lot of love and there's a lot of hate, right? It has its critics. Some of them are pretty intense and brutal, especially these days with all the trolls out there.
Right.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I just think it was a great remake. The bus scene, with the kids in the bus or the people
wait. I'm sorry. Oh, that one. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where Leatherface comes in and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna cancel you." Greatest scene, the slaughtering of it. I knew they had some problems on the set. I knew they fired. They got rid of the original director. I knew that. I think my problem with it is just the Sally Hardesty aspect of it. What was her
right
in the movie? I mean, and I think that might have had a reason to do with the original director. I don't know. I haven't looked at the rumors of it, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I think brutal kills. That first kill in the ambulance with that cop, and he breaks that his wrist, and I freaked out. I screamed. I think I woke up my neighbor. Such an awesome quality kill.
Yeah,
a lot of quality kills. The funny thing is with Mark Burnham, it happened yesterday. Someone was on Facebook talking about him, and I looked. I'm like, let me check this guy out, and sure shit, we're friends. So I made a little comment today, so he liked it. So that's pretty cool.
Sweet.
That's pretty cool to have that.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was a great job for Netflix. Does it have problems? Yeah, but it's I loved it. I thought the quality kills were phenomenal.
Let me jump in here.
Mhm.
Let me jump in here because I have to go walk my dog or she's gonna poop in the house. And I gotta get out of here.
Okay.
I liked it. It's one of those things like the 03. It brought the franchise, which people thought was done. No one was going to spend $100 million to do another Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And it brought back this, it brought back the franchise that, Netflix has a wonderful way of doing stuff like that. They'll take chances on stuff. They took a chance on this. Mark Burnham was great.
Yeah.
I love individually. I'm a scene guy. So I loved the scenes in the movie. Of course, there was some stuff that I would go, as an actor or a guy that might want to direct before he dies something, I might go, that doesn't make sense or this. But if you just watch it for a standpoint of to enjoy the movie, I enjoyed it. I thought Mark was great. I thought people hated the girl that he killed. I can't think of her name at the ending. They're like, I didn't like her. Well, that's the whole point. That's why you put somebody in a movie so you dislike them and you hope they die. So I think they did a good job. I tell you what, they're going to get a second movie out of it. Netflix is going to make another movie out of it, and they may make a third, depending on how many people watch the next one on Netflix. So I did enjoy it. I do. The bus scene is my favorite scene because we all know that would really happen in real life. You're going to get some guy on there that could have a machete and blood all over, and people are going to go, I'm going to film you, and you're done. Yeah. When this gets to the news tomorrow, everybody, you're done. No, you're the first person in his way is done when that guy starts slicing and dicing. So pleasure talking to all you guys.
Big swag.
CJ, I'll see you towards the end of the year when we're filming. Steve, Merlo, let's go. I got a passport. Anthony, I'm going to bring you a script. I'll bring you one of the original scripts. I made copies of it. I'll give it to you next year at Phantasm.
Thank you, sir.
All right, gentlemen. Pleasure's been mine.
Brett.
All right.
Have a nice
Have a
night.
good night, Brett. Nice to meet you.
It's fun.
The bus scene you were talking about, I did like it. I liked all the kills in it. I do think though that having the canceling thing will date it at some point, but it's still funny. I get why they put it in there. It would make sense. Kids like that would say that shit, not knowing that he don't give two shits. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's gonna kill him regardless. I thought Mark did a great job. I thought he had shades of Gunner in there, the way he moved and things like that. I did not quite get the fact that it was supposed to be a direct continuation. I know they had Sally in it again, Sally, but that was very Halloween 2018. It was so similar to that. So
a ripoff.
It
was like a ripoff to Halloween, especially and I've seen it.
It really was.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it about 8 times, and it's one of those movies. And I think my 8th time, I was sitting, and there's a scene where the kid goes up to retrieve the Dixie flag in the hotel or where the house, and I didn't know it, but Leatherface is actually sitting in the chair while he's reaching for that flag for a second, and then the camera cuts back to him, and he's gone. And I was like, "Holy shit!" I've watched this 8 times, and I've never noticed that before. And it's a quick scene. I thought it was super cool the way they did it. I think the Sally Hardesty, I actually did an edit. I think, who was I talking to? No, I wasn't talking to you, John, but I was on a podcast that we're talking about with the Friday the 13th, Halloween, was it Kills or Ends or whatever, with the Tommy Doyle, Evil Dies Tonight. And I feel like I would love to re-edit it, like the Star Wars, how they re-edited it and got rid of Jar Jar Binks. So I came up with the F Tommy Doyle cut. And I just took all of his fucking scenes out of the movie, except the end where he's getting his head bashed in. And I would like to do something with this, just cut all, hard to see scenes and just, keep on going. Because I think it was just a waste of a story.
Member berries.
Yeah. So, and if it's actually, I think it's still the F Tommy Doyle is on the Evil 3 website. If you go there, you look for it, you'll find it. I got to take it off though before I get sued or something. But it's
looks like we lost Brett, or did he have to bounce?
Yeah, no, Brett had to go walk his dog.
Head out.
Yeah, he had to head out.
Yeah.
Excuses. He just was
He
like,
had to
"Oh man,
walk
I
the
can get off
dog,
the
John.
show."
You don't want poop in the rug. Come on, you got to get the dog out. So,
Did you guys like the new mask?
No,
No,
I wasn't a fan.
I
I
like.
didn't like it in the trailers. It grew on me in the movie.
I'm exactly the same. I didn't like any
It
of the
weathered.
stills, and I didn't like it in the
I
trailer. It was
I
better.
like the
feel like
southern weathering.
I feel like the new mask looked good in certain shots and looked terrible in other shots. It was almost like a lighting thing for me. Like it looked great in certain lightings and then awful in other lightings. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of wish it wasn't such a skullet mask, bald on top and then long hair at the
Right.
back. It was
yeah.
I
so
think
that
the
kind of
scene
feels
when he
weird to
originally,
me. But
I think the scene when he originally ripped it off and held it, and that's one of their main promo shots up in the air. I think that was a great shot of it. One of my favorites of that mask part. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it.
It wasn't the worst looking Texas Chainsaw Massacre
No.
series.
No,
Oh,
and I want to rewind, like, because I didn't know what we were talking about. Like, and I saw the Netflix. I did enjoy it. I liked it. I thought the bus scene was cool. I thought the way that they kind of integrated. I was almost like, why don't you just get the hell out of that town? But it's not that easy. They're kind of like oblivious to what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I gotta say, my favorite kill is that damn little hand sledgehammer down the stairs right at her chest. That is one of my favorite top 3 kills in that franchise. The way that, and I believe she survived. And I mean, boy, she got some badass people in that movie. They're trying to survive. Who was that young girl? I don't remember the actress's name with the dark hair. But I mean, I think she's the one that got the
Elsie
sledgehammer.
Fisher, that's the one that survived. Elsie Fisher, and I think Sarah Yonkin, she was Yarkin, if I pronounce it. That was Melody. That was the main girl in it.
Okay.
She did great. She did great.
Amazing, dude. I think it was. Am I wrong? Like, she got hit in the chest with a sledgehammer down the stairs and survived. Is that the one that you're talking? Is that the
I
same
think
one?
so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
she
right.
did.
I remember something like that
It
happening.
like cracked her sternum, but she was still alive.
Yeah.
But
Still, there was a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah.
yeah,
I like the dude, the muscular, the guy, like the mechanic guy, handyman.
yeah. You thought he was a dick, but he was actually helping. He
Was
really
it? It
did.
was.
Oh,
It
when
was.
he
It
got
was.
his knee, when
His
he
name
hit
was
his head
Kirk.
with his knee. Oh,
Well, it was William Vale as Kirk. I think that was his name, right?
and what a brutal kill when he meets up with Leatherface and
Yeah.
Leatherface just breaks his leg.
dude, he fought. He did
Yeah.
his job. He did his job.
He was probably my favorite character in the whole
Mhm.
film. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
Burnham was great. I loved him as Leatherface, but
Oh yeah.
I really liked William Vale as Kirk. I think he was the best acted,
Yeah.
the most relatable character for me in the whole film. So I really enjoyed it. I went into this movie thinking it was going to be a total dumpster fire, a total, what they'd call like just But I thought, ultimately they did it well because he assumed Kirk was such a douchebag, like most people would. And I did like the twist that he was probably the most heroic in all of them. He really tried to protect
You're
her.
absolutely
He
right.
took a stand.
Well,
And
there was
took
2
him
ways
on-
I thought they would go with it. I thought either he was part of the family. You know what I mean? He could have been part of.
Well, and that could have worked too.
Yes,
that could have
Anthony,
worked
like
too.
the Arlie Ermy, kind of like luring him in, like, "Hey, look, I'm going to help you, but not really."
Well,
Yeah, great point. Great point.
I give him credit on the twist, though. I really do. Movie Buff One. Hey, I seen you called. I know I will definitely be talking to you as soon as I'm done, Kyle. I will give you a message, but I'm in a live stream. I will give you a call. I promise, buddy. Talented actor, Kyle Rappaport. Really enjoy him. Great guy. Had him on the show. But for me, I really expected a dumpster fire in this movie. And was it a great? I thought they destroyed the character of Sally. I thought it was just a total waste. It was unnecessary. As a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, I thought it was terrible. As a slasher, I really enjoyed the film, and I will give them credit where credit is due because it could have been a real crappy character thing, where they at least didn't make those 2 girls and those the podcasters like their shit don't stink kind of deal, where they assumed people, they judged Kirk, the guy Kirk, and and it turned out they were wrong, and I give it credit for that, where I really thought it was going to be. I don't like to use the term woke, but the trend that goes on where, you know, this person's bad and this person's good. You know, the characters itself, I thought the girls were unlikable, but also kind of likable. I mean, it's like, let's be serious. Podcasters, if you're, I mean, yes, females are going to get attention, but they didn't really, either one of them have much of a personality where, let's be honest, most, a lot of them that really have no personality, you're going to be not dressed in
I agree, John.
shirts.
I agree, John. It's almost like either one of them died. It was like, oh, well, that figures. As opposed to, I really want her to survive. You know what I mean?
There was so many things about the movie, Sally getting lifted up by a chainsaw. With, you know, I mean, there was so many things that if they just didn't call it a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, I think it would have been great. Even though I loved it, you know, because to believe, I mean, I can suspend this, you know, my disbelief, but Leatherface had to be 84 years old. And come on. But I did like the fact that they were wrong about the lady not owning the house, and really ultimately she was protecting everybody from Leatherface. And then, you know, she even kept them calm when they came in the house and started accusing her, and she was having you know, the stress was coming, because the stress was her bad health, but also knowing what Leatherface could do, and she was the one thing that could control him. So I did, it kept him out of the you know, because he was being looked for a long time, even by Sally. They tried to interweb that, and there was a lot of things I really liked about the movie where I thought the movie was going to be total shit. I mean, I really did. Terrible Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, and honestly, if I'm going to rate it as a slasher, it's going to have a pretty solid score, because I thought the kills were a lot of fun. The bus scene was both the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, but the most awesome, like, moments. But then again, I mean, I'm sorry, you know, you're not going to, I don't even care if you are. I mean, somebody's coming on a bus with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be really out of touch not to be wanting to get off that bus any way possible. Let's be honest. But it also led to a great scene of just brutality, and I loved that. And then there's one scene that really, I don't know if, like, it's kind of funny because it was obviously like taken from Terminator 2 at the end, where it's and it gets to the end, and of course she's out of bullets. I just was waiting for Leatherface to go. But I thought it was great when they're escaping, and there were certain things they did well, like even like the auto drive car where it wouldn't just speed off, and then the ending where it was kind of like, all right, cool. I mean, I thought that was a great kill. Like, I thought the kills were great. I thought what's his name? Let me find his name again, because I pulled it up, because I'm so bad with names. It's good for me to see it there. But I'm on the wrong one. That's why. That I thought William Bale as Kirk was awesome. Where, you know, his death was brutal, and also was a cool scene. Just, you know. There was so much stupid shit, like how the chainsaw would run and how much gas can hold, but you could go that with any of the films. So I enjoyed it. I mean, I really enjoyed the film. Like, I was never bored in that movie at all. I really wasn't. And I thought they balanced some unlikable characters in their own way, and kind of balanced the script where I didn't expect it to go, where it wasn't just bad good type deal. It was kind of like, hey, you can, you know, maybe your judgment's wrong on both sides. So I thought that was cool. I thought it was subtle but also well done. As a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I'm just gonna go with my score now. I give it like a 4, but as a slasher, I'm gonna give it an 8. 8.5. I had fun watching the movie. I had fun with the kills.
You can't do that. You need to give us.
But it was a terrible Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It really was. But it was a fun slasher.
Well, what's your score?
All right. Well, okay. If I'm going to take it from a 4 as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film to an 8, we'll call it a 6, I guess, overall. But I like it more than a 6. It's a type of movie I can throw on and and be entertained by the
I know. I'm
the
just messing
special
your balls.
effects, and I'm usually more practical, and there was definitely some CGI in it, and I did enjoy Burnham, and I wish I had a chance to talk to him, but Anthony will tell you it was just busy trying to get over there. I'm trying to get like 100 autographs from Felissa Rose, and it was
I know you
Sunday,
were. Yeah, I know you
and
were. I
going
know.
from one end to the other, and
You were
know,
working. You were working magic, man. You did a great job. I'm proud of you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Mike was with me at Spookala, and yeah, it was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work too. You know, it
A lot
was
of work.
busy.
Yeah.
And my
But
mom
we
didn't
loved
knock
hanging
down
out
any
with
tables
Anthony.
until the end.
That
She's
was my
bragging to
favorite.
Anthony, and we're clearing up. She almost took out the table with the old scooter.
No,
Well-
did she? Oh, you didn't.
Yeah,
Oh.
yep. She sure did. Remember it? She's bragging about how she didn't take out any tables, and then she gets stuck in the
And she hits
table.
Oh, she's a sweet.
I wasn't there for it, but
Oh, you weren't there? I think Roy was.
you
Roy
told
might
me.
have been
Yeah.
there. It was Roy there. Yeah, it was funny.
That must have been
She
Sunday.
did so good. She did
it was
so
Sunday.
good until Sunday.
Yeah.
She didn't
Oh,
knock
okay.
She didn't knock over one table. She was all proud, and it was Roy, I guess. And it's the table. I had to lift the table up, and she got it wedged in there good. Luckily, there was nothing on it, so
Right.
everybody survived. It was the end of the day, and unfortunately, I
she
didn't get it on camera.
Was
Oh,
she
she was
stuck and
stuck
the
under
wheel
the
was
table.
going?
She just was the whole
smoking
table
them?
would have like
Yeah, smoking.
It was one of those things where she got stuck where if she kept going forward or backwards, it was just going to make it worse. I
Oh
was
my
already
God! And I
packing
know
up
the
all the
look
stuff.
too. I know the look too. She's just looking up, like, what should I
She
do?
looks at me like it's my fault that she runs into a table. It's like, Ma,
Well, it is your fault. What are you doing?
Ma, you ain't driving. Yeah, but your table's too. You should have just widened it out for me, Johnny. But no, I give the film a decent score.
All
I
right.
thought I had the lowest of low expectations. Maybe if my expectations were high going into it, okay, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it, and I really expected to go into it, especially even when it started. I'm like, oh, the rumors are true. I'm just gonna hate this film. It's just gonna be total bullshit. But it wasn't. I enjoyed it. It was definitely not Leatherface 2017 or whatever that one came out.
Ugh, let's not even talk about that.
Oh well, that's why it wasn't
Let's
on the
put
list,
films
Steve.
in there. Let's not even.
Puppo Das. He protected us from that one. He protected us from it. Puppo, we're gonna give your mom another shout out here. Let's. Oh, that's Kyle Rappaport who called me.
Hey, how you doing?
Kyle called me. Kyle, I'm on a live stream. Kyle,
Well, I gotta say, John, I liked it. I thought that it was a lot better than it was going to be. I didn't even hear about it, and then I just saw it. I was like, oh my God, the last thing I saw was amazing. So let's take a look at that. So we did, and I liked it. I thought, the one thing that kind of struck me the most about that movie as far as atmosphere was the claustrophobicness. It's like it's this tiny town, and it felt like you just couldn't escape. It's like, but they didn't know any better. Like I said earlier, like they're on the bus, whatever, most of the people until, that scene. And, I thought it was entertaining. I mean, I'm not going to get too long-winded about it. I thought it was fun to watch. It had some brutal kills. Decent writing, get you through. I'll give it a 7.5.
all right, I could deal with the 7.5. I mean, I think it surprised most people. I think people either went in there really to hate the film, and I know I don't want to say I went in to hate it, but I just did not expect to like it. So
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's
like 7 to 7.5. I'm not going to go too crazy. I mean, if we're talking overall scores of all time, yeah, I'm going to drop it down to 7. How about that? 7.
okay.
But
I'm
a lot
good
of
with
things
that.
I enjoyed about it. I did like watching it.
I just wanted to give a shout out. I'm leaving a little message.
The Sawyer Massacre is what's going to be, That's what we're talking about here.
You know what? I want to,
Sawyer
before we
guy here.
before we go, I want to play each one of your guys' trailers for you.
Yes, play
Oh,
CJ.
cool.
Yeah, let's get.
Yeah,
We're gonna get CJ's up there.
I do want to make a little shout out right now because we're still on Indiegogo. So John, I hope I pronounced this right. Zulo just got our
Oh, it's a Zolo.
Zolo.
Wow.
Yeah, so we just got our associate producer perk on sale for $100 right now. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
And both campaigns are on Indiegogo. I'm going to drop your
as well.
links for you guys.
Yeah, Steve's
Awesome.
going.
Our Indiegogo is still live too.
Yeah.
We're about halfway through.
Post-production. Yeah, it's going well.
Funds campaign doing pretty well. We're over halfway there, so I'm pretty happy about that. So I can't complain. But I keep pushing because our campaign ends on my birthday.
Oh,
And I didn't think about that when I set up this campaign. And the last day of a campaign is usually the busiest day for pushing it and make sure you get your
it's
goal.
your birthday.
So I'm like, now I'm gonna have to really push on my birthday. I'm like hoping we hit our goal before my birthday, so I don't have to push the final day.
So you can celebrate your birthday and not worry
It'd be
about.
nice to celebrate my birthday and not have to push an Indiegogo campaign, but a man will do what he has to do.
There you go.
You guys are well on your way to hitting that goal. I think both of you guys got a great product, and there's a little event coming up in August 19th through the 21st, and my good friend Anthony Greco. I went to Fantasm last year, and me and Anthony became fast friends. Became friends with the crew, and had a great time. Got to hang out with the 78 cast, and this year I think it's going to be even bigger and better. He allowed me to. Yeah, I mean, he's bringing in Beatrice Bupley, and I'm really honored that I'll be with her sitting down. Amanda Kruger, a guest list that keeps growing. Don Shanks, the whole Fear Street, the villain cast. I think they had amazing looks. So we got a lot of plans in Doomsday's Crypt, but you want to talk about Fantasm a little? We're going to start doing a Sunday show here on Doomsday's Crypt. Me and Brian Wenzloff, who was unable to make it tonight, and we're going to be hyping up Fantasm each Sunday, bringing on different guests, and really hype this event by some really amazing people. Anthony is become one of my good friends. I got nothing but respect for him. Like I'm very honored that Doomsday's Crypt's a part of Fantasm now going into the second year in a row. And I think it's going to be even bigger, better, and more awesome. I know I'm coming in there with as much heat as I can.
Anthony's the best, dude. Anthony, I loved meeting you. We got to spend a little more time together. You know what I mean? To talk a little bit, man. I can't wait for this year. We'll bring it. Oh, I sent that stuff that you wanted in the mail.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
thank
I'm a little
you.
bit late. Yeah, so that's coming. So.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, stickers.
Whatever you want. Well, I threw some other stuff in there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And thanks for pushing us, John. I mean, you're awesome. The stuff you do is great. You showcase everybody in the community and all their work and all that, and you always give the props to everyone that deserves it. And you don't take anything for yourself, and you're a great dude, man. And we appreciate the support that you give to Fantasm. So always welcome.
I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'm so excited to be even that you guys consider me a part of Phantasm and everything you guys are doing. And Doomsday's Crypt's going to come in there with all the talent that we know, and we're just going to be rocking the house. And I can't talk about too much, but we've talked about a few things, and I think what you got going and what you guys are working on right now are just amazing. Even from some of the people I know that you've talked to, really, really amazing stuff. Anthony, Roy, the whole team, you guys all go all out, and even at the other event, you guys were at my table all the time, and we made sure we let everybody know. And I can't say how excited I am for Phantasm. I really am.
I tell you,
excited.
people would come to our table more often than not. We'd hand them a flyer or tell them about the event, and they'd go, "Oh yeah, I was just talking to John over Doomsday's Crypt already. He already sold us on it." So I mean, everyone that we talked to had already talked to you guys. And
Dude, we
appreciate
handed
it.
out all those little whatever, the 4x6 whatever those little pamphlets. Man, we went through like literally like 70% of them. We handed those things out, and people actually liked the bigger one too, the 13 by
the
11.
little poster.
Yeah, they were eating those things up, man. We had them right in the corner, right in. But you know how we had our stuff in sections and everything. Like it was really nice.
We
People are excited.
it.
Of course, man. What you talking?
Yeah, and I gotta say, guys like myself and Steve, we appreciate you, John, and your podcast. I mean, this is 2 days in a row. And another announcement, I think it's because I'm on the show, but Jesse Green just did our special VIP thank you on Indiegogo just now. So I mean, you're bringing in the the perks, the contributors. So I appreciate that.
John,
well, I'll tell you, we got a great. I can't take credit. I'm so lucky. We just hit 2,000 people in Doomsday's Crypt, and I can honestly say, it's a public group. We don't have problems with anybody. Everybody comes in and contributes, and so many good people I've met. It's an honor. Like seeing some of the talented people's work out there. I've met Thomas Bruce recently, who's done like keychains. He's doing the perks for you. Check out the Sawyer Massacre perks. Like, those are great. People love those little magnets. Are so strong, dude. I'm telling you.
Everyone loves those. They're so cool looking.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Nobody's bought one on the campaign yet. I'm surprised nobody's.
Well, it's one of those things you don't realize how cool they are until you get them in your hand.
But when people saw them and like right up close, they were like, "Oh, wow!" They were playing with them.
Well,
like,
Anthony will tell
attraction.
you, they're great in person. When you see those magnets and stuff, they're really cool for the price that they are. Even for your perks, they're a solid price for a cool perk.
And and you know what, Anthony? You know what? I just thought of it. You can send Tom any picture, and he can make those little magnets. Maybe make a couple VHS
he already has.
sets.
He's got them on the campaign.
I'm sorry. Well, see, Anthony's a smart man. So
hook me up, John. If you could hook me up with that guy's information, I'm pretty interested in that.
CJ,
I'll send it to you. Thomas Bruce is awesome. Like Steve already knows. He's one of those guys who makes cool perks for every project. I mean, and it's not something that really infringes on anybody else, but there's ways you could use an item like that and really, it's a cool item for any of these indie projects, really. And I gotta, it's one of the talents in the Doomsday's Crypt group that I'm honored to, as myself a fan. I got another box of stuff coming from him for Phantasm of really like next level stuff that's going on. I'll show you some pictures. He might have shown you already, Anthony, but I got some next level. I don't know if I'm sure he's shown you, Mike, too, but some really like really cool stuff. That dude's awesome. Love him. Michael Toth is another one. Vinny Curcurato, who blew us off tonight.
Where the hell's Vinny at? He's 3D printing.
Fucking Vinny.
Vinny blew me off a little bit too, so don't worry about it.
Vinny's awesome. You know what it is he gets so consumed with his work, and I know that. I got him busy going to Fantasm. Believe me, we got some amazing stuff. I got a lot of Halloween and even Friday the 13th. I love this piece. I'm so glad I didn't sell it. Like the dude kept trying to cut my throat, but I love that doc. I do.
Oh man, yeah, they were like, what about 400? John's like, nah.
No, he kept lowering it. I was like,
yeah,
dude,
well, he was
I'll
trying to
keep
lowball it. Yeah.
I don't care. I'll keep it. Like that's one of those pieces where I got it, and I was like, well, I don't want to sell it. It's awesome, but what was I going to say? Yeah, but there's so many talented people in Doomsday's Crypt, so I got to give everybody a shout out there, whether they're actors, talented filmmakers like CJ and Steve and Jason Pitts. Well, I'll be talking to them again soon. Mike Mutsatzos, actors like Jake Scazzaro, Amy Cote, who couldn't be here tonight, Brett Wagner. I mean, look at all these people. Beatrice Bupley, she's so active, and she's one of the sweetest people. I think people are gonna love her at Phantasm.
Oh hell yeah!
If you guys are in the Orlando area, it's a way to go. I ran into somebody from Florida at Applebee's. He became a sub. He's planning on coming to Orlando for
Nice.
Phantasm with his son. So yeah, that was
can't
really
wait.
cool.
And where was this at? Where you're at?
In Applebee's in Minnesota, in Missouri. Yeah.
Wow.
He happened to be in Clearwater or something. So he's on the West Coast, but he's planning on checking it out. I got him all excited about, meeting some of the Myers that are going to be coming. You got Shanks, you got Chris Duran coming, you got the flashback Myers coming. That's going to be awesome. I got a Jimmy Falco mask coming, so I got something planned out for that. I know where I'm putting it already. It's going to be a little switch up, play around with the old design, but it's still going to be showcasing all of it. I think I'm going to move the 13 to the pumpkin and then the flashback over that Myers house for the event. I think that'll look killer.
Well,
you guys all got insight.
You're always talking about bringing the A game to us, so we appreciate that. So we look forward to
go big or go home. That's my idea.
That's right.
I just need to go bigger on my van because I don't know where I'm going to put shit anymore. But I am. I'm looking.
I've known this man over here to the left of me for almost 10 years. And he's always been selfless. He's always put out 200% of what he gets. He doesn't ask for anything. He doesn't want it. He does it for the love of it. And now it's so addictive. He's got his parents, not even his siblings, are now a little bit interested in what's going on. I was talking to a couple family members, like, well, what do you think about? Like, well, this is my first time at one of these things, and it's actually pretty cool. This is
my sister was a natural though. She was a natural. She did an event like it before, but she was raking. She's a great salesman. She's like Johnny, and she had some great ideas too.
Yeah, I can't wait for Fantasm. We got some stuff coming, Anthony. I got some stuff, and then I got 2 more Beatrice Hawks coming, and they're special custom ones. I have a few people that want some Beatrice Hawks. So I'm going to be promoting those. You're going to be very happy. But I'm even going to make a Fantasm Hawk. We talked about I'm not going to even say that because we're not going to give away any details.
Just do a hawk. Just do a hawk with a goatee on it. Called the Tony mask. The Tony Phantasm.
Phantasm.
What's your right name? My name is Tony. What's your last name? Phantasm. What's your last name? It's Fantasm. Tony Phantasm.
Greco. It's Greco.
Greco.
But I know, Steve, I was on one of John's shows with you last year.
Yeah.
So I've met you before. So
yes.
Yeah. I've never met CJ. It was great talking with you. Good luck with both of your projects, and
thank you.
Can't wait to see.
Yeah, you know what? I want to play the trailers for each one of these guys. It's the least I can do for you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We'll start off with the Evil 3, and then we're going to end it with the Sawyer Massacre, which both are in demand. We got post-production on the Sawyer Massacre, and we're some great perks on that one. Like I said, Thomas Bruce has got some going. Check that out. Get a digital copy. Get the physical copy. These things aren't going to be available forever. And I believe in the talented people that are on the show tonight, like Steve and CJ, that it's worth investing because that little collector item you got would be worth a lot more because they ain't going to be made again. Well, they might be, but unlimited. There's only going to be a first edition for everything.
There's only a first line. Yeah, there's only one first line.
Yeah.
Well, things always look better on a shelf and not in the cloud. So
absolutely,
definitely.
Great point. That's a really good. Yeah.
All right. What was I doing? Sharing is caring.
John's a StreamYard expert.
No,
you do good, dude. You do good.
I'm learning. I'm learning. So there's tons of great perks. We're gonna go through them fast. Social media shout out. I think the VIP thank you is awesome. You get an IMDb. You get your name in the film.
You can pick
Jason
who
win
wins.
$20 away. Yep, $20 for that. Signed poster. Amy Cote. You're gonna get Brett Wagner, who was on tonight, and you guys all know Amy. You can get a signed Blu-ray by this guy right here, CJ Vecchio. You can name a victim for $50.
My sister named my brother actually to be a victim, so that's
yeah.
cool.
You were saying that last night. He loves his brother like the flu, and yeah, the Mega Killer perk, awesome stuff. Some really cool things right there. $99. Associate producer, $100. Can't go wrong there. Name a character.
Wow.
I mean, some really great perks. Brett Wagner. We know that guy. The
good-looking
big
right
swag. And Amy Cote. Candy Cane. Act to be Jason. Act be Michael. Act be Leather. You know, writer credit. Executive producer. We're going to go right to the trailer. We're going to put it on the big screen. Check this out. And then we're going to go through the old Sawyer Massacre, which, you know, I see people excited about all these projects. Everybody loves these characters.
The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell families from 3 states, Texas, New Jersey, and Illinois. It is all the more tragic the victims in all 3 states were young, but had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they did. Each of the state's killers were caught and convicted of their heinous crimes and sent to a facility for the criminally insane to live out their lives behind bars. But years of federal spending mismanagement, cuts had to have been made, and the federal government decided to close down the facility. Its name, Smith's Grove Sanitarium. The events you're about to witness will be reported as one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history, and committed by whom historians will refer to as the Evil Three.
You're probably wondering who's this guy and why is he in a jail cell?
I know that guy.
Well, my name is CJ Vecchio, I'm an award-winning writer and director, and a huge fan of the 80s, 90s slasher films. And what I'm looking for is your help to put these 3 in the ultimate fan film, The Evil Three. The story of The Evil Three is how Smith Grove Sanitarium is being shut down due to budget cuts, and they must transport these 3 to the Livingston County Jail right outside Haydensfield. And let's just say things don't go as planned. What I'm looking for is your help, either big or small. I've been studying Indiegogo film campaigns for the last year. This one is going to rock the perks. We have special perks. Who's going to win? Jason, Michael, or Leatherface? And you get to choose. We also have perks. You could be the killer. You could actually be one of these guys in a scene. So please donate, large or small, whatever you can, and help us make Evil 3 the ultimate fan slasher film.
Very cool.
Love it.
And
Thank you.
Awesome.
Love it.
I think it sounds like a fun movie, like a fun just fan movie, a little bit of a, you know, I'm not sure how you're gonna film it or do this or that, but it feels like kind of like a, I don't know, like almost a main event wrestling match type deal, working up to that point.
That's the reason, you know, like I said, I'm trying to do this as the most fan-friendly, fan interactive Indiegogo campaign, right? You know, for films. I mean, you could choose who wins. I mean, right now, Jason's winning. Then there's Michael and poor Leatherface. So vote for Leatherface, all right?
I didn't hear no bell.
Yeah, you know, and then, you know, the producer credits, we have 3 different endings. So whoever gets the producer credits, you know, perk they get to choose, vote which 3 endings, which one we're going to film. Like I said, I just want to have big time involvement with fans. I mean, I'm a fan, so let's get her done. Let's get it made.
Yeah,
super excited though. Like I said, Brett, we have Amy. I'm working. We're making announcements. We're trying to make announcements every other week on a future star. I got so many feelers out for stars. So like I said, I'm trying to get I already have a Leatherface. I'm looking for a Jason. I got a couple feelers out, looking for a Michael Myers. I want to try to get some actors that play those roles in the film.
That'd be very cool, man.
Yeah,
that's
very
fun.
cool.
Very cool. So Steve Merlo, we're at and good luck, CJ. I Doomsday Script's always here to help out anybody.
Vice versa.
I'm totally honored to have you both on. I mean, I've been friends with Steve now for a year now. We've been talking. And,
definitely over a year now. Yeah,
Steve was really the first indie fan I started following. He said, John, you should keep, you should keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job at it. It kind of made me keep doing what I'm doing. So big thank you to Steve for helping be an inspiration of what I'm doing. And
hey, I love what you do. So of course I want you to keep doing it. I love it.
It's a
such an amazing
honor
supporter.
Being an associate producer on this project. Like I'm honored by it because I think it's going to be a fantastic film. CJ, I'm excited with Amy Cote, Brett Wagner. I'm excited to see these people like that I know getting work. I love seeing it. And awesome. To know all these people. Angel Bradford's another one. Just other people I've even had on in the past that, Heather Beck. There's so many people that I've had on that I think are amazing, talented people in the community, and I love seeing them and
we have Jamie Apple. Jamie Apple is going to be in it. So cool. I want to, and she's such a great special effects makeup artist. She's going to be acting in it. She's going to be one of the prison guards. But I love to get her on set for a couple extra days just to help with the special effects. So excited about that.
There's so much talent in the indie community. I think everybody keeps doing what they're doing, and the people you support where you can, and you see something interesting, you keep the perks really cool, you keep the quality the best you can do, and you put your heart into it. And there's so much talent out there, whether it's, like you said, special effects people. I know, Steve, when we talked about the Sawyer Massacre and filming, there was so many struggles that it was the team, you had to be the leader, but there was team members that helped keep it together too and just push through. I mean, and that's the type of people in the indie community there are. They see something they believe in, they want to be a part of it. And I think, quite a few of you guys are really hitting that nail on the head. And you and CJ are both two of the ones I really, I think got something special going, like good ideas and very different. Like your ideas is a lot different than each other, but it's also very interesting from I love variety. I don't want somebody to be doing the same thing as the other person. And like your both your campaigns are so different, but they're so interesting to me that I really enjoy it.
And the cool thing with Steve, like I said, we're all Facebook friends and all that. Yeah. But I was on, I was talking. He had his podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I was chiming in there. And some guys, some directors be like, "Hey, screw this other director." It's
no way.
But Steve's like, "Hey, it's CJ, it's the Evil 3. I'm so," and I'm like, I just love this guy even more. And that's how the community should be. We're just a family. There's no competition. We all help each other out. I mean, if I can help Steve out, he's helped me out. Just promoting, the Evil 3. That it's just super cool, especially to have that reaction. I'm like, oh man, that's cool. So
teams win championships, man. I mean, if the more people work together instead of
exactly,
I think it means a lot. I mean, there's room for everybody to succeed, and there's so much talent. There's so much talent in every aspect. Look at guys like Vinny. Look at artists like Michael Toth, the things that Thomas Bruce does. Some of the people that I've met just that are in the community, these mask makers. I mean, there's so much talent that there's enough talent in the community for a lot of people to do really well. if they all work, at least you got to work on your own thing, but you can also work together to support each other. And that goes a long way for fans. Fans want to enjoy it. They want to see all these different things. Well, yeah, but they don't want the Hollywood copy and paste. Horror's always been indie, and the best films back in the day were people who were working together to make these things happen, and the indies got the possibility for it. So I'm excited about it. I'm honored to be a part of whatever that's going on in Doomsday's crypt, whether it's Fantasm and all the different talented people. It's like, this is fun for me. So I enjoy it. We're gonna go to Steve's trailer. Excited for this. The Sawyer Massacre still live for 32 more days.
32 more days. I only see it in Canadian dollars, so I'm like,
hey, yeah. So it's 6,000 in US dollars. You got over $175,000 Canadian going there.
That's no.
I had to do that. My ex would kill me, like the Devo's mom.
Do that all the time.
I used to always joke around. Oh, she didn't find it funny. It was funny though. We'd always joke around about that. But the Sawyer Massacre. I'm excited for it. I really am. This is a great trailer. Scotty Parkins.
The following film is an account of a tragedy that transpired at an isolated property.
Now what you're looking for is in that house right over there.
A seemingly harmless old farmhouse in the desolate rural landscape.
Y'all really want to go in there?
Well, it looks like someone's here.
Is there somebody here?
For all who encountered it, an ordinary day became a nightmare.
A lot of those are on the perks.
This particular account of mad and macabre would be known as the Sawyer Massacre.
Very cool. Very, very cool. I love it, man. I'm so excited for that, for the Sawyer Massacre. Like I said, it was my first really indie project that I went and supporting, and it really, for me, it really helped me to get to where I'm at right now in a real short time, as far as speaking with guys like you and CJ and all the different people I talk to. I thank you for that. It's like I said, very, very big good friend of. I consider you a close friend, even though I'm hoping to get to that premiere. I'm going to do my best, dude, because I'd love to at least be able to shake your hand in person. I know. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to work it out where I can at least swing through. CJ's like only over the bridge too. He's in Chicago.
Yeah,
Chicago. Chicago's nice. I'll say it twice. No, I'm a big fan of. I drove through Chicago before. I didn't stop. I just gunned it. No, I'm just kidding. These are the outskirts.
I want to be careful.
No, I'm excited to go to Chicago. I've been wanting to go there and visit.
I told you, October 30th, I'm hosting the Chicago Horror Film Awards, so live event. So, you're more than welcome. To come there. Get you some free vendor space, and I'll take care of you.
Maybe I can figure it out. The good thing about that is, something like that, I could take my individuals with me too, and we can do a weekend down there because it's not too far. I'd love to be able to bring it to Florida, but a 25-hour trip for them is just a little too much. But 6 hours could work.
That's
5, 6. Actually, it's less than 5 or 6 hours, I think, to Chicago. But hey, I'm really honored by this tonight's stream. We had some amazing guests.
Awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Anthony Greco, thank you, Camp Crystal Cabin 6. Thank you, Steve Merlo. Thank you, CJ. Thank you. Big shout out to Brett Wagner.
Thanks for having us.
The Big Swag, the Lost Leatherface. Let's all support him in the community. He's one of the good guys, man. I really love Brett, and I love seeing him get involved in these films. And he's such a huge horror fan and such a kind guy. So thank you, Brett. It was a lot of fun to do that I mean,
Thank
how
you
cool
so
was that?
much.
We got to do a ranking system with Leatherface, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
man,
pretty
that's
cool.
Go on
I
there.
hope he wasn't too mad at me for giving the
No.
all three
Me
remakes
neither.
a six.
Yeah, I know. He was mad at me there in the beginning.
I
Like,
think I
really?
saw him fueling up his when he was doing that. I think he was fueling up his
I'm
chainsaw
so hard on
for his
movies,
next trip
boy.
to Canada.
So bad.
Yeah, I want to do a little quick shout before you go. I congratulate one of my buddy, writing partner, Joe Riley. So he's down at the Crimson Screen and the Lake Parasite. Just won Best Short Film today. So
Congratulations.
congratulations to Joe, my man. So super pumped, super excited. So right now, I think all the writing team right now we have and the crew about 60 film awards. So it's pretty exciting. Got some
impressive,
talented people, talented crew on the Evil 3. Super excited. So good job. Good job.
Can't
Joe.
wait to see it. Can't wait to see it. Anything Doomsday Script can do on our end to help out, that's what we're there for.
Yeah.
I thank you guys again for being here. I thank everybody who showed up in the chat. We're going to end this stream with our tribute to Puppo's wife. Puppo's mother. Puppo's mother. I'm sorry, I can't walk and chew gum, but it's been an honor to do this stream for his mom who passed away from cancer.
Yeah.
Let me put her image up here. Stop sharing here. Start sharing there. I'm so bad at.
No, you're not. What are you talking about?
Mike jinxed it.
Doing pretty good.
Mike jinxed it by saying I'm getting good at this. Well, you said I was getting good at this stuff.
You are.
At the Facebook.
Trust. Come on.
All right. Well, we're doing.
It's not like you're the lawyer cat.
We're doing our special loving tribute to, and I know SMT. He pronounced it. I want to say Sumit Nupur Das. And she passed away from cancer 5/28/2016. I know it's been a hard thing for Puppo, and it's been an honor, dude. It's been an honor for me to put this stream on and have all these talented people here. I know you support a lot of these indie projects, and we thank you, Puppo. And we're sorry for your loss, and we're sorry for anybody out there who's dealt with cancer, because I know most of us have. Whether it's somebody who's battled and beat it like CJ and Officer Sal, or somebody who's lost somebody like Puppo. So thank you guys. Thank you. In loving memory of Nupur Das.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next weekend. I'll give you a schedule.